Hello, everyone. We're back for the third and final semifinal of the Pokemon Let's Go 2024 tournament. I am Poketax. I am joined today by Dynam. We're excited to bring this one to you.
Oh, we say this every single time, but I'm so excited for this race. It's gonna
Oh,
be one
same.
heck of a banger.
This is 3 men enter, 1 man leave. This is Thunderdome for us here today. I'm
hmm
excited. We've got T-Pad, we've got Etiquette, we've got Head Bob. No further introductions needed. I mean, that's just kind of the what we have here today. So let's take a look at our bracket. As you can see, we had Headstrong advance on Tuesday to the final. Congratulations, Headstrong, and same to Amber, who advanced in the wee hours of last night into yesterday morning, at least in my time zone. So congratulations to both of them. Both are going to be repeat finalists, but you know who's not going to be a repeat finalist? Whoever wins today. So we look forward to seeing who's going to be a first-time finalist, who's going to compete for that 2024 championship.
Yeah, we'll see who ends up joining Amber and Headstrong. Let's Go Women in the finals. It'll be good. It'll be a good time. Yeah, I'm excited to get this one going. That's for
Oh yeah,
sure.
yep. This is yeah. It's a race that on one hand needs no introduction, and on the other hand, it feels like we can't sufficiently hype it up enough. And this is I mean, I can say personally, I've got into this game because I watched Etiquette's run at GDQ. I've watched T-Pat, I've watched Head Bob. This is I'm not just commentating here today, I'm fanboying here a little bit. So it's it's so fun to see these runners, even though they're running Eevee. I won't take it personally. It is so fun to see 3 runners that I look up to and respect to see them go for a spot in the finals.
Yeah, so as far as so I believe Head Bob is the one to have the more recent PB. We were actually there for if GDQ. Head Bob did a little run in the practice room, and he had a very solid, I believe it was a sub 302, I believe. And TPAT just this year has gotten a sub 3, and Etiquette has been consistently been putting up very solid times as well. So all 3 of them heading directly into the game, all 3 of them running Eevee, which I now actually have some experience in. Shoutouts to Spider and True Co-op. So we will be doing the standard opening, naming our character, choosing our character. Looks like we have 2 girl ones, 1 boy one. So you love to see some women representation here. I think T-Pats and Edda's Eevees are both male, while I believe Head Bob's is a girl, I think. You can kind of tell based on the...
I defer to you on that, because I can never tell the difference, and I run Pikachu, so...
Yeah,
the
little
tail,
heart shape.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Head Bob's definitely girl Eevee, love to see it. And we'll be jumping right into getting isekai'd into the Pokemon world.
Oh. So just for those who might be newer, this game came out in 2018. It's a Nintendo Switch game, and it is full of Joy-Con fun. You use your Joy-Cons to do catches in this game. It's definitely a different kind of Pokemon game, in no small part because each gym has a requirement to get into it.
Yes.
In the case of this game, there's some trivial requirements, like have a cute Pokemon. To our knowledge, there are no Pokemon that aren't considered cute. For the first gym, Brock's gym, you need a grass or a water. But the one that's really going to matter for our runners and kind of is the building block of this run is that you need at least 50 Pokemon in order to get into Koga's gym, which is the gym we will be doing 7th. So you'll see in the top left corner of each runner's feed a number out of 50, and that will represent how many catches they have at that particular time.
Yeah, we'll actually be getting into our first catch. You'll notice that every runner already has 1 out of 50 marks. That's because one of the included catches is going to be your partner Pokemon, the partner Pikachu and Pika version. And we've got 3 EVs scampering across the screen here, ready to get yeeted into a Pokeball for EV version. And as Poketax mentioned, you'll notice that Joy-Con are used to catch Pokemon. You can actually use up to 2 Joy-Con in this game, and having that second Joy-Con out is going to help us out with catching Pokemon all the way up to the 50 Pokemon necessary to get into Koga's gym.
Yeah, again, we might be having some newer folks watching this run, but if just a plug for the Pokemon speedrunning community. It's a great community. I can say, as a first-time runner in this tournament, in fact, this is the first time I've speed run. I'm going to get yelled at in chat. Anything. This has been so much fun. It's been a great community and very supportive. So if you're like, I'd like to give that a shot sometime, please do. And we're all Speedran. Okay, thanks, Phoenix. We're all here to support and help and answer questions because we've all been there. So this is, just a plug for the community as well, as we have a moment to do so.
Absolutely. The Switch Pokemon community is a fantastic place to be. I myself last year kind of got super involved through this tournament last year, and I've stuck around ever since. It's a great place to be. Lots of great people to hang around and ask questions, get answers, have a lot of fun doing some nice Pokemon games with alongside.
Yep. Absolutely. So we just got our starter Pokemon after it scampered away back into Oak's lab. Each of our runners here today are deciding to not look at the nature of the Pokemon, and they're just going to go ahead right away. Just by way of background here, Eevee's got 25 different possible natures. We consider 13 of them to be runnable, and the 12 of them that are not are minus attack, minus special attack, and minus speed. These runners are well versed in even running what we consider to be unrunnable natures, and checking the nature in the lab takes about 6 seconds. Reloading a neutral save file, which you're allowed to have under the rules of the tournament. You can have a backup save and load that, but that takes about 35 to 40 seconds to do. We expect this race to be super close, and 35 to 40 seconds, even over the course of a 3-hour run, can make a world of difference. So,
absolutely.
Speaking of losing a little bit of time, it looks like Etiquette may have gotten a little lost on his way to the Pokemart.
I mean,
maybe
to be fair, like you can kind of go either way. It's either you go right up or upright, and I don't think it makes too much of a difference. What does interestingly make a difference is if you end up talking to the Mart person, basically like right around his eyesight level, if he looks down, you can kind of skip a turn animation, which saves like a fraction of a second, a little time save here and there. There are a couple instances throughout the run where you can take advantage of entering cutscenes at the correct place or talking to people at the correct angle. Like you said, Poketax, like little things add up over the course of the run, and we'll be seeing how all these runners execute on all of the little steps on the way to the end of the run.
Absolutely. So we're going to get our first look at each of these EVs. We will not know until a couple of fights down the line just how good that... Ooh, T-Pat's Eevee.
Ooh.
That may be... that second roll was better.
Just gotta hit through paralysis. Oh, boy.
And paralysis. Oh, dear.
Headbob, the first one out of the fight, but T-Pad and Etiquette both struggling a little bit with the 10% paralysis that Pikachu can proc off of Thundershock. Not only does paralysis cut your speed, so you go much slower than you usually are, but you also have a chance of getting fully paralyzed within a turn, so just losing out on battle turns that way. Thankfully, not too much of a bother. I have definitely seen that runners get ratioed very, very hard with paralysis lock. So glad that everybody's out at a semi-reasonable time.
Reason number 79, that Pikachu is better than Eevee. I mean, excuse me, that was unprofessional of me.
What was that? Nobody said anything. What happened? Anyway.
Anyway, so just going up, doing our first non-rival trainer fight. In Pikachu, you get to find out your Pokemon's stats in this fight. Just saying, it's a whole fight sooner. So if you have an unrunnable nature, you can reset a whole fight sooner. Just saying.
True. Yeah, right. Eevee will level up to level 6, assuming that you don't catch anything on your way into Viridian Forest. On the first trainer with the Caterpie, I forget what his name is. I think his name is actually Bugcatcher Rick.
That is correct. It is Bugcatcher Rick.
Shoutouts to Rick.
Yeah.
Rick, my boy.
Okay. He's especially nice in Pikachu when he just decides to string shot, and you're just like, ha 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 ha, I'm still faster. Yeah, all of our trainers are through the Rattata fight, and get a load of this, youngster Ronnie. So sorry, youngster Ronnie, you were in for a bad time against our Eevee. And heading up into Viridian Forest.
Looks like T-Pad is electing to go for the Caterpie in the grass. This should be a very fast catch. It doesn't really matter too much in terms of experience here. You do get a newbie modification of like 1.5 times for your catch rate for the basically right before you enter Viridian Forest. So these things are it's just basically a free bug. And even though Eevee does need a little bit extra help to get to level 10 before the first gym leader, Brock, hopefully T-Pat will be able to make that up in a couple of extra catches, perhaps, on the way over to Pewter City.
Yep. And all these runners will be looking for Pikachu. That's where it gets really advantageous if you see Pikachu. That is a neutral from Headbob.
All right. And Etiquette is currently leveling up to 6 on his respective screen.
That's plus special defense. I did not see the minus for Etiquette.
Gotcha. Hopefully somebody in chat will help us out a little bit. Looks like possibly Gentle with a special attack AD for Etiquette.
Yep.
So no harm, no foul there. Gentle is plus special defense, minus defense. So it doesn't matter too much in terms of those real stats that we need for between attack, special attack, and P-Pat hearing
Speaking
a Pikachu, I think.
This is where that bug outside really comes in handy. It's only a level 3 Pikachu, but it was glowing, so you're going to get a 1.5 times catch multiplier for that. That signifies that a Pokemon is either big or small. There's also a chance of a 4 times catch multiplier, what we call Wombo. That Pikachu is not that, but that would be a 4 times catch multiplier to really ratchet up the experience. So T-Pat getting that extra catch there. Nice to get those bonus catches, especially get them early. It levels up your Pokemon in your party. So T-Pat definitely further behind in terms of plot progression, but ahead on both number of catches that you need, working ever so much closer to 50, and in getting that Eevee at a nice high level so that it's easier to win a lot of the fights.
As you had mentioned, Potax, that second controller is really key in order to up the catch rate of the Pokemon. If you do a synchronized catch with both of your controllers, you'll get an increase to your catch rate. It also depends on the type of Pokeball that you have in both controllers' hands. Shoutouts to Anubis for figuring out catch rate details. Anubis is the GOAT when it comes to data mining details like that. So Etiquette and Headbob both getting their first catch out of the way. Looks like Etiquette already has Another Pokemon planned immediately after this looks to be that
Yep,
Pikachu that
going for this
spawned on screen.
Pikachu. Mark to get that Pikachu second, so he's got the 2C4 because Pikachu does have a little bit of a low catch rate if you're just doing it with one controller. So a little bit of a tactical decision there by Etiquette, and he'll definitely be able to get that.
Looks like the Bellsprout that Headbob caught was either glowing or possibly supersized Wumbo. So getting that EV to level 9 already with only 2 catches. Pretty solid.
Yeah, love to see that.
We also saw all 3 runners pick up an item on the ground called a lure. What a lure does, and is very integral to the speedrun, is that it causes more Pokemon to spawn, or rather causes Pokemon to spawn at a more frequent rate, and more importantly increases the level cap of the Pokemon that you can catch by 1. So every Pokemon in Viridian Forest is normally capped at 6, but all of these racers are currently catching level 7 Pokemon, which not only helps to get to their evolution levels faster for things like Caterpie and Weedle, but also increases the amount of XP gained for Eevee and those respective Pokemon as well.
Yep, and trying to get evolutions along the way. All these bugs, we're going to evolve them twice. So experience and getting as much of it within reason, of course, as you can, is just very important throughout this run. So you'll see runners trying to hit these excellent throws where the circle is at its smallest. That'll maximize the amount of experience from the catch, and will also increase the catch chance. Shout out to Dynam, you created the catch tool, correct?
No, that would actually be Furious. If
Fury
you type
created
exclamation mark catch rate in chat, you'll see some syntax for putting in a Pokemon name, their level, and then the type of like if you use Pokeballs, Great Balls, etc., and berries, you will actually be able to see on average what the catch rate is for any given Pokemon. I have like a written sheet that I use for my own notes for that sort of stuff, but very cool that we actually have something integrated into Agabot for that in chat for people to use. I still use it the most. And Bulbasaur, little frick on Etiquette screen.
Etiquette.
Bulbasaur being one of those
By the way,
bonus catches.
Yep. Can be a little trolly, especially with a kind of annoying catch cycle, but let's see if Etiquette can grab that.
Yeah, all of the Kanto starters, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, perfect. Do you have irregular catch cycles? So normally a Pokemon will attack, and then you can sort of safely wait an additional cycle for it to throw. With starters like Bulbasaur, etc., you kind of just have to understand when the circle is going to appear so that you can throw immediately. Otherwise, there's a chance that it could just attack and kind of cringe that way. But very solid start. T-Pat notably still looking around in Forest, trying to figure out what he's looking for. Gonna get through the bug catcher fight now.
He had a maze of Pokemon there in front of him. So you could kind of see where the run ends up going. So you see Headbob has already found his way into Brock's gym, but has 5 catches, whereas T-Pat and Etiquette are both a little further back, but have 7. So kind of the rule of thumb is, and somebody can type exclamation point pace in the chat, which will completely debunk what I'm about to say, but it's about 30 seconds roughly per catch, comparing across racers. Again, this is art, not science, but it's kind of an indicator of where everybody is. But by no means is it scientific. Etiquette getting his Bellsprout here, and then T-Pat found a glowing rat. Standard Headbob, for Brock, where you do 2 double kicks on the Geodude, then Tail Whip, and 2 more double kicks on the Onix. So that's going according to plan there for Head Bob, and he's going to get through that fight nice and quickly.
Yeah, thankfully, none of our runners currently have minus attack EVs. Thank goodness. Actually, I believe all of these EVs are in fact runnable, runnable in quotation marks.
Yeah.
So no necessary worry about like not hitting ranges. No need to whip out the second controller to have Bellsprout enter the fray on Brock's fight. Everybody should have that standard double kick into tail whip double kick on Brock's fight. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Yeah, we see Head Bob is out of Brock's gym, and T-Pad and Etiquette are both heading on in. I mean, Etiquette's already got Butterfree. You'll love to see that. So you can deposit that. It doesn't get any additional levels. You'll see as the run goes on, getting additional levels can be a hidden time sink throughout the run. So every time a Pokemon leveled, it's about 2 seconds because it plays a little chime. It goes and it shows you a level up from level 5 to level 6 or whatever. So being able to deposit Pokemon and not have them gain additional levels beyond their evolution level saves time. And Etiquette's going to be able to do that with the Butterfree. And Butterfree in particular is nice to get out because if it gets to level 13, it learns 3 moves, which you do not want to be sitting through. Not just the level up chimes, but no, I don't want to learn Sleep Powder. No, I don't want to learn Stun Spore. No, I don't want to learn Poison Powder. So again, we talked about it at the start. It's just the little optimizations that these top runners are able to do that save them those precious seconds, whether it's party management or menuing. You see how quickly all 3 of these runners are able to menu. That's a product of a ton of practice and just knowing these menus inside and out.
I would be remiss to say it is also an optimization if you're able to get Metapod through level 13, because Butterfree does learn Psybeam at 16, which can help out on the J&J fight at the end of Moon. But that's not really a thing. I'm only saying it because Etiquette's in this race, and Etiquette is a proud proponent of Butterfree's Psybeam strats as a meme.
I was gonna say I have never had such a Butterfree.
Be glad that you don't.
I was gonna say that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
All right, Head Bob being the first to enter Moon here. We'll see that EV runners will opt to do their Mount Moon main menu right before this first last trainer. In this way, EV can learn the TM that we just got from Brock, which is Headbutt. It's a 70 base power move with same type attack bonus if your Pokemon use a move that is the same type as them. EV, which is normal, Headbutt, which is also normal. You get a 50% increase to that move's damage. So Headbutt effectively being 105 base power is going to shred through this Bellsprout, no problem.
It's considering you've got poor little level 8 Bellsprout and then all the other similarly leveled Pokemon throughout Mount Moon. It's not until very, very late in the cave when you start to get things that are even able to endure one hit from Eevee.
Speaking of enduring one hit from Eevee, I don't know if that's a range for Head Bob. Pokedex, you've run Eevee a decent amount, is that right? So, I don't know if this is a range at 11.
Yeah, 11 can be a range. It's a very favorable one, which unfortunately for Head Bob he did not get.
Unfortunately for T-Pat, little snake here.
Nice.
Bonus catch for Eevee specifically, whereas on PK you do have 2 bonus catches in the form of a little Sandshrew and a wild child known as Mankey. See if... Oh, Sneck for Edda as well. Solid. We'll see if Head Bob can see one on the way out to help supplement his catch count.
The high catch counts get higher.
This
one
is
stamp for everyone's
true.
bingo card. Or not really.
So the three Pokemon that our runners are looking to catch in Mount Moon, for the most part, are Geodude, Clefairy, and this little jumpy Paris dude over here. Those three catches should hopefully get each of these EVs up to a threshold where they can hit level 15 before exiting Moon. As Poketax mentioned, there are multiple requirements for every gym in this game, and Misty's is that you must have a level 15 Pokemon to show for the gym's judge.
I think also taking this glowing rat that he found. Well, 13 Pokemon going into Moon is just absurd.
Yeah, it certainly is.
That is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Mostly,
Etiquette definitely loading up.
yeah, probably decided to catch that Rattata to make the deposit menu a little bit cleaner. Now that this Kakuna is going to evolve into Beedrill, he can safely basically dump everything in his party aside from Eevee and the two grass types. Likely, looking at Etiquette's tracker, is planning on evolving that Bulbasaur into an Ivysaur at level 16 for that extra safety along the catch route.
Yep. And it just, for those newer to this run, it just puts so much less pressure on that, the kind of the end of the EV section, we'll call it the middle game, where otherwise you're like on 30 catches and you need to get 20 more in quick succession. So Etiquette and T-Pat doing some early, especially Etiquette, doing some early work, getting those Pokemon and getting some additional experience on Eevee, which is helpful for fights going forward. So interesting tactics for sure.
Speaking of experience on Eevee, Headbob has just caught Geodude, so only has Clefairy to go. Notably, Headbob's Eevee is, I think, 80% or so to the next level. So that Clefairy is probably going to put him just shy of what he needs to exit the rest of Mount Moon with. So going to need a little extra help to push that Eevee up to a reasonable level before hitting Celadon City. Celadon City? Cerulean City. I sure hope that Headbob's Eevee. I sure hope that all these runners' EVs are 15 heading into Celadon at minimum.
Right, yeah, that experience level, not just watching for a Clefairy, but you really want to see a Clefairy before this lure runs out. And it'll run out for Headbob right at around when he hits that ladder at the top left corner of this room. Wombo, it looks like there for T-Pat.
Oh, very solid.
That already was a Wombo Paris.
Yeah,
so
T-Pat
he is
probably
already level 15.
Yeah, that's huge for T-Pat's XP. And Headbob is going to opt to catch the Zubat. Hopefully going to hit the circle to get that extra little bit of experience. Does hit the nice. So this should, assuming that a Clefairy shows up and it is either lured or close to next level, should be okay for Headbob.
Up to, that actually was, for a Geodude, that actually was pretty nice. Pretty good amount of experience. Some excess levels onto, Butterfree and whatnot, but for Headbob, it's operation get to 15 as fast as possible. Clefairy already showing up for Etiquette.
Yeah, the first pink thing that we want to see. Notably, this is something that only Eevee can do and Pika cannot do. Is there's a Moonstone at the bottom of the basement floors that Headbob picked up and T-Pat is possibly going to pick up as well, along with a nugget that you can sell. Eevee has the option to skip that room entirely, so not having to phase through 4 room transitions essentially, and instead pick up the PP up on Route 4 heading into Cerulean to make up for that nugget, and just saves a little bit of extra time that way. It does mean that you skip out on Moonstones, but considering that Etiquette hasn't even reached the basement floor yet, might opt to skip it entirely because he's not going to be able to have the date rollover for the secondary Moonstone to have a chance to spawn. And
Yeah.
very solid setup on T-Pat's screen for experience in Pokemon catches.
I was going to say, Etiquette is indeed going to go ahead and skip that room. Again, having no chance to get the second Moonstone. T-Pat was also a little too late. I do not believe he had a chance at that second Moonstone, even though he checked for it. Headbob did not get it, so no 2 Moonstones. Each of our runners set their clocks at about 11:34 at the start of their runs, with the idea that while in that room, the clock rolls over to midnight, at which point there's about a 50% chance that a second Moonstone spawned. But T-Pat and Etiquette just had a ton of catches early on there. So they both got there a little too late for the opportunity to get that second Moonstone. Though Etiquette just said, you know what? Only going to be 1 Moonstone. I've already got a bunch of catches. Let's just keep on rolling. But Etiquette does find a glowing Geodude. He will take that.
Rich get richer. Eevee already almost level 17 on T-Pat's side. There's a saying that goes around that experience on Eevee is king, and being able to push to higher levels and get double edge very early and just be able to hit many ranges with the increased damage boost that you get at higher levels just expedites Eevee's trainer fights so much faster.
Yeah, we're even gonna see right here the difference between T-Pat at 16, Etiquette at 15, and Headbob at 13. What these fights, even the next 2 fights that Headbob is gonna see here. Oh, he's going for Clefable.
It's
I mean,
a
this
pink
is
thing.
the right call. This is the right call. Clefable is dangerous. It has a pretty low catch chance.
It's also only level 5, which I believe is minimum for Mount Moon. So this should be a pretty favorable catch. I'm gonna quickly type in a little thing into chat here. Catch rate Clefable 5 GGRE is a 90% catch, basically. Easy. 90% catch, and Headbob's Eevee is now assuredly going to hit 15 by the time he exits Moon. No harm, no foul, no extra levels gained on the rest of his party because he already deposited. Very solid.
I also took a quick look just for research purposes. That level 5 Clefable gave more experience, 462, than a level 11 Clefairy does, 389. So, nice catch. You worry about breakouts, especially if it's, let's say, higher than level 5. But that worked out great for Headbob. He needed that experience, and he got it.
Yeah, very acceptable experience now for Headbob. Obviously would much prefer to be at a standing where like Edda's or T-Pat's EVs are, but you take what you can get. And by take what you can get, I mean hope that you hit through confusion. There you go.
I was going to say, yep, that's our first instance of Headbob being a little slower because of that decreased level. That is an Eevee. Yeah, okay.
I'll take that as Headbob's Eevee is not great offensively.
Not so much, no. It did get an attack AV there, but
we take those. We take those where we can.
Yeah.
The last possible attack AV that you can get in the cycle.
Yep. Yeah, this will come in all likelihood on this fight as well. Your J&J 1 fights. This is your first 2v2 fight of the run where you control both Pokemon. There will be at least one fight where you don't control both Pokemon. We'll get to that later. But you control both Pokemon and you use your Bellsprout to help out, first to feed the EVX items, and then if you need to, throw in an attack here and there. So it comes in handy to have that second Pokemon there. Clefable already gets a level. Oh boy.
And thankfully, Clefable does not learn any level up moves due to the nature of it being a Gen 1 Pokemon that evolves from a stone. If you're familiar with RBY games, stone Pokemon do not learn anything on it or past their evolution, essentially. So all that's lost is 2 seconds per level, and it's not too bad.
Take a look at Etiquette's EV. That's also an EV, but its special attack is quite good.
Okay.
So for Etiquette, like I believe I saw 38 special attack. That opens up some possibilities, actually, starting with the next gym, Misty's gym. And he can actually consider 2C'ing the Misty fight, where you bring in Bellsprout. Kind of similar to this fight, you set it up with an X special attack. Instead of letting Psyduck hit you with a water gun or a confusion, just knocking the Psyduck out right away, and then doing just that, using one of its 3 very nice moves that it's about to get. And having Bellsprout support the cause with a Vine Whip. So, nice to have that plus special attack, and it will not be the only spot where that's helpful.
Yeah, these 3 special moves, well, I guess 2 special, 1 physical, I think, for Eevee. Bouncy Bubble being the sort of water Mega Drain-esque sort of move. Buzzy Buzz being a paralysis-inducing electric attack, and then Sizzly Slide being a more physical option that burns a opposing Pokemon on contact.
And of note, all 3 moves have 90 base power, which is just for this stage in the game where you've got, in this gym, it's kind of mid-teens Pokemon up on Nugget Bridge. You'll see some 10s and 11s. They just do not stand a chance. So yeah, Headbob actually getting rid of that Clefable, so it'll stop leveling.
Very true. Normally to drop into the Pokemon box to deposit Pokemon, it takes about 8 seconds or so. So there's like the whole balance of like 2 seconds per level up and such, and I think it takes like about 1 second to drop off a Pokemon. So if you can kind of do the math in your head, depending on how many levels you expect a Pokemon to get, how many Pokemon you have yet to deposit, so on and so forth. There's like a really, really tight balance there that runners will have to like figure out. First was in Mount Moon, and then the next should be coming up soon in about like a little less than half an hour or so as they party manage their way through Route 6, Route 10, and Rock Tunnel.
The Headbutt getting a really nice range on that Goldeen.
Mm-hmm.
He was 31 there at level 15. That's a 6 and 16 range. So that Goldeen can be annoying. It can supersonic you. It can quick attack you. So nice to get that poke out of the way with no damage incurred.
Imagine just not clicking Zippy Zap on the Goldeen.
Yeah, right. Reason number, I'm just looking it up in my reasons book. Reason number 341. Yes, 341 why Pikachu is the better run.
Psywave from Starmie is not something that you typically see, but at the very least, it is not Scald. I don't believe that Psywave can crit due to the nature of how its damage is calculated. So
it cannot.
I think,
yeah. Psywave can do a maximum roll of 1.5 times the user's level. So in Starmie's case, it can only do 28 damage. If you have really high special defense, it can actually do more than Buzzy or than Scald can. But you absolutely want to see Psywave because it has a 0% chance to burn, whereas Scald has a 30% chance to burn, which feels more like, I don't know, 80%, 90%, 250%, somewhere in there.
So no burn cridge.
Avoiding the burn.
Exactly. Leveling up to level 17 here. We got another special attack Eevee at 7. So 41 special attack for this Eevee at level 17. Seems solid enough.
Yeah.
I believe like for Eevee, there's a certain threshold where you don't want to get any more special attack or attack Eevees because anything past a certain point is just kind of overkill. So this seems almost like a pretty good threshold of special attack that Etiquette has.
Yeah, the special attack, you'll take special attack wherever you can get it because of those J&J, the J&J2, the J&J3 fights. The more you can, by the way, T-Pack getting burned on that fight, so he will take a menu to heal that off. Just a few seconds in there, but absolutely worth it to take the menu and not see burn damage tick down and not have your attack halved for physical attacks. Yeah, you want to have that high special attack can really come in handy. It makes J&J ranges a lot more favorable, if not possible to get in the first place. So take them where you can get them. The attack, to your point, it kind of falls off. Like you see 7 attack AVs, 8 attack AVs. Like
you don't need to headbutt things for that much damage. And anything that Headbutt can't deal with, Double Edge can take care of in the mid game. I can imagine.
Etiquette playing a little risky on this fight, but he's just fine. He's living on 4 damage. Did get quick attacked by that Pikachu. If that had crit, that might have been a problem. But he is just fine.
No problem here. Yeah, and thankfully due to Bouncy Bubble, Eevee will be able to heal up enough HP on the Sandshrew, which is the 3rd trainer on this very, very long Nugget Bridge section. Speaking of Nugget Bridge, Poketax, isn't it time for something?
It sure is. So if you've been around when I've been commentating, as we talked about earlier, like in the context of this run, your Eevee's like level 18, level 17 here, and the poor defenseless Pokemon on this bridge are like level 10, level 11. They have no chance. You have these overloaded moves, an Eevee with artificially high stats. They have no chance. So here on the ESR TV, we have a little fun, and we do a game called Is It a Sandwich? So the game is very simple. I will say a type of food, and chat will furiously debate whether it is a sandwich. Ready, Dynam?
All right, hit me.
Okay, so I am a native of Western Pennsylvania. Shout outs to Western PA. Wonderful, wonderful place. Do not live there anymore, unfortunately. But one of the Western PA delicacies is a pierogi.
Ooh.
Is a pierogi a sandwich?
So a pierogi is a type of food that is filling encapsulated completely by dough. Correct me if I am wrong.
Yes.
I would classify that more as a dumpling. There are many, many foods in various different cultures that are like pocket of dough, insert whatever filling you'd like. I just count all those as dumplings personally. I do not believe that a pierogi is a sandwich. Get in the comments, chat.
Yeah, of course. Chat is an ad, so they can't furiously debate you at the moment, or most of them can't. But yeah, I think that's a fair position. I tend to be a sandwich over-inclusive person myself, but that's a tough one. I don't like asking the easy questions here, and that's why I ask it.
Understandable. I also subscribe to the cube rule of food identification, by the way. So in the context of going off on a tangent here, dumplings. If you've ever seen like a wonton, for example, or like a cream cheese wonton, you'll know that it's like usually got like a little like plump sort of like middle, and it usually has like these 4 like crust walls of sorts. Would you say that a wonton, as I have described, is a quiche?
A quiche, huh? Okay, so yeah, it's interesting. I was having, and I think it was Phoenix. Uh, we were having it. I asked Phoenix a question because they had said, a talk like they had said a quiche is, you have 4 sides, and then a food layer on the top. Okay. And I had asked whether a taco salad was a quiche, with the bowl being edible. And Phoenix said that indeed that was. Huh. What? I could go for that. Yeah, I could go for that as a sandwich.
All right. Or a quiche, rather.
Or a quiche. That's what I mean. You know it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Speaking of gotcha, Head Bob's just gotcha'd a Meowth back on Route 25 in that little thin strip of land. The things that you want to see, Meowth, Etiquette getting the Venonat as well to supplement his catch count as well. And as another one shows up to...
From Etiquette, he ended up, it was a level 14 Venonat, and he didn't even get a judged throw on it.
Wow.
I would be interested to see what the catch probability with a crate and a Pokeball is. But
yeah, I'm curious
it's
on... Because I believe that Etta normally just does not go for Venonat in general, but I'm thinking because of... trying to look at his catch count to try and decipher it, essentially. Possibly with... I don't know. A catch is a catch, and it's getting Eevee more experience. I guess maybe it has something to do with Eevee's experience, possibly trying to get it up to a point where it super outspeeds the Pidgeotto. I don't know at what AV count you need to outspeed the Pidgeotto at, but it might help a little bit.
Yeah, so for Pidgeotto, you either need to be level 19 to speed tie. Level 18, you need 2 AVs to speed tie. So if you're level 20, assuming you're not minus speed, you just outspeed it outright.
Got it.
So yeah, you need that 40 speed is what you're looking for. So you can get it at level 17, but it's really unlikely. So that's why the notes for this game will actually say, get to level 18. You really want to be there if you can help it. Because, that's... If you don't, and the Pidgeotto outspeeds you, it can OHKO your Bellsprout, and that's just sad for the Bellsprout. But that's actually the better case scenario of what Bellsprout can do, or Pidgeotto can do, because it likes to throw sand when it can't KO a Pokemon. And it will do so at your Eevee's expense. And all of a sudden, every attack in that fight, which was previously a 100% chance to hit, is now a 2 in 3 chance, or 67% chance to hit. So you really want to get that outspeed if you can help it.
Yeah, unlike sandwiches, we do not condone eating sand necessarily. Do so at your own risk.
Yeah. Is ketchup a fruit smoothie from Saijay? From a culinary perspective, and again, also had this discussion this afternoon. Ketchup, or a tomato is technically a fruit, right? From a culinary perspective, it is a fruit. It's just where the seeds are. I could go into the whole explanation. But for culinary purposes, it's more of a vegetable as opposed to botanical purposes, where I would not consider that to be a fruit.
Also, if you invert the thinking, would you put a fruit smoothie on top of other things that you would generally eat condiments with? If no, I would say it is not a fruit smoothie.
Yeah, no. I think we are aligned. So now that we are all from Cerulean City, and no one could mark their bingo cards because we didn't reference. Oh, look, a Chansey on Etiquette's screen. Bonjour.
Goodbye, Route 5 Chansey. We hardly knew you.
So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. So we're actually getting to a slightly more interesting part of the run, which is Route 6. Fortunately for these runners, unfortunately for Theatrics, these runners don't technically need anything on Route 6 if they don't want to get it. I've done EV once or twice where I'm just like, and there's nothing here. I'm leaving. Pikachu, you absolutely need to catch a Growlithe. But again, as we talked about earlier, getting that little extra experience, as you see, Headbob is still at level 17 on his EV, so that's Pidgeotto outspeed territory for sure. So you really, if you're Headbob, you absolutely want to see something. Good candidates here are Jigglypuff, and you can use that Moonstone that Headbob and T-Pack got earlier to evolve that. You can also catch Vulpix, which can be Firestoned into a Ninetales later. So, speaking of Jigglypuff,
speaking of both,
well, there you go.
Well done, Poketax.
They're both glowing at that.
You have officially summoned Headbob's fixed EXP. Congratulations.
You might say Headbob wins.
Perhaps. T-Pat immediately seeing a Vulpix,
which is also glowing.
And I'm curious to see if... So I'm aware that the rare candy that gets picked up here is vital in order for Ponyta on Pokemon Road to get evolved into Rapidash. You could opt to go 2+2 on Starmie, because at that point, by the time you get Starmie, skipping this rare candy means you'd only have 3 in your possession in total. And I do know that T-Pat has just blitzed through Route 6 on occasion.
Speaking of T-Pat and Blitz, that is a Wombo Vulpix he just grabbed.
Ooh.
So his EV is already level 21. So levels are not going to be an issue for T-Pat. He will be getting Double Edge, and he will be getting it early. So nice find for him.
Yeah, is going to go for that rare candy to just be a little bit more comfortable when the Starmie does come around. And Etiquette does get Ivysaur up to level, all Jiggly, I guess. Bulbasaur evolving to Ivysaur on Etiquette's screen. We're going to see Headbob's... go right for the Abra. Also glowing, mind you. So this is a very, very solid Route 6 for Headbob. Gonna use that single Nanab Berry in his inventory to stop the Abra in his tracks. Going to get a little motion controlled, but this grate should be totally fine.
Yeah, really big help to Headbob here. As we noted, his experience was a little on the low side coming into Route 6. That's not the case anymore.
Etiquette going way back up for an Abra on his screen. So bonus catches galore for runners here.
Yep.
Also, interestingly, I think we're going to see 3 very distinct methods of doing this Vermilion trainer skip. You can just go directly in between those 2 trainers, and they will just simply not see you. T-Pat takes a more general, directly down approach. Headbob does a little stutter step here and there, and Etiquette just does Etiquette things.
Etiquette, yeah, it's... oh, man. I think he has smoothed his approach technique out a little bit over the past year or so, but he used to do this thing where it's like, kind of came at it from the left side, and you're just like, no, you're going to hit the trainer. And so you could see this was more of a
that's a very normal skip. You know what I think it might be?
He smoothed that out a little bit, and it was a sight to behold, or more accurately, not. But it's a little smoother now, fortunately. Fortunately for him, unfortunately for those of us who, like to watch these and have heart attacks while we watch.
Yeah, I believe that Etiquette possibly plays on Joy-Con with physical notches now. I'm aware that he has like Joy-Con for things like the any percent version of this category, where you are allowed to skip trainers on a mount, whether that's Rapidash or Aerodactyl, and notched Joy-Con help a lot with that. So I have been seeing more quote unquote normal skips from him recently. It might be a tribute to that, who knows? But either way, Evie doing a little bit of a shop before heading into the SSN for the boat rival fight.
Yep. So this is kind of that moment of truth. I think Headbob may still be at 18, in which case Pidgeotto might still do mean things. But T-Pat at level 21 is going to be running circles around not just this Pidgeotto, but any Pokemon for the foreseeable future. So this fight will not be a problem at all for T-Pat. Headbob could get outsped. I think Etiquette's 19, so you could see a speed tie. You could see, but more likely you're going to see just a straight outspeed, as long as he's gotten at least one AV along the way. D-Pat getting turn skip on the rival here going into boat. It's a very precise skip. It saves fractions of a second, but
it looks really cool. I believe Headbob also got it on his screen. Just one of those things where you enter the cutscene at the right angle and you have a moral victory because you save like 3/4 of a second.
So Headbob was actually at 19 and did go ahead and outspeed the Pidgeotto. So good there.
40 feet speed at 19.
Bellsprout lives. His Eevee is sand free. All is well and right with the world. This should be a pretty straightforward fight for all three of our runners from here.
A little bit of a meme I'm about to make here, but I just noticed that Etiquette named his player character the plus symbol and the character that Trace plays as the minus symbol. So possibly hoping for some plus minus RNG to boost his chances of clearing rival fights as fast as he possibly can. Puzzle and Mayan enjoyers rejoice.
Shout out to Gen 3.
Shout out to Gen 3 plus minus.
Yes. So I would say, just kind of looking big picture at where everybody stands at this point, this is still really close. Even an hour in, there's not been a lot of separation between really any of our runners. Etiquette with a slightly higher catch count to this point, with 19, T-Pat and Headbob 17 apiece. So they're both a little further ahead in terms of plot progression, but very little at this point to say somebody's ahead or behind. Will be very interesting here. Where we will start to perhaps see some delineation will be coming up. We have routes 9 and 10, and we have Rock Tunnel, and those are kind of the let's see how your run really is sections.
Yeah, so many points of variance on Route 10 and Rock Tunnel. So many decisions that you have to make depending on how many spawns you get initially on Route 10. Do you just say go? Do you reset the route? How do you reset the route? How is your party management going to fare heading into Rock Tunnel? When do you get your Rhyhorn that all three of these runners desperately need because they are playing Eevee and do not have a puppy to fall back on? Shouts to Pika runners. Just all those little things.
This one's actually very high on the Pika runner list. This is like reason number 7. Like for my book of hundreds of reasons to run Pikachu, this one is actually really high. You gotta get Rhyhorn, otherwise you are your calves are gonna get very swole walking around. Pikachu has the Arcanine backup, which actually goes faster than Rhyhorn, but takes a little longer to get. Whereas in Eevee, you are stuck with your own 2 feet until
you're walking
Route
here.
17. Yeah.
I am curious to see if a Route 10 Chansey does show up for any of our runners, if they're going to be in a position where they can either one take advantage of it or two decide that they do not want it because Route 10 Chansey certainly is a catch of all time.
Yes.
But considering that I
What
believe
I would
Edda...
say,
Sorry, go ahead.
what I would say is it's the lawyer's favorite expression, right? As an attorney, I can't help myself. It depends, right? So if you're in a situation where you've got a really low, either really a low catch count or a really low amount of experience, that's when you start to think about Chansey. You also start to think about it if it's the first thing that shows up. As we talked about earlier, you don't want a lot of Pokemon getting excess experience. So if you've got a full party of 6 Pokemon and then all of a sudden, ta-da, a Chansey shows up, and each Pokemon gets 3 levels from the Chansey, well, things like Nidoran male, Nidoran female, they don't need all those levels. So yeah, your Eevee's gotten those 3 levels, and that helps in the intervening fights, but you've also just wasted a healthy chunk of time.
Yeah, I would definitely say that if something like along the lines of, all right, you catch Spear, you catch Niddo, you catch a Crab, you catch Eradicate, you evolve those things, and then a Chansey shows up, it might be beneficial for you to be like, all right, I'm going to use a Moonstone on one of my Niddos, and just have like Eevee and Crab in my party, because Krabby does need that extra experience to level up to level 28 to get to Kingler. So the Chansey EXP would definitely help with that. Obviously, we don't want any wasted levels. We don't want Nidoran male to hit level 27 and learn Horn Drill, Nidoran female to learn Super Fang, Spearow to learn Agility, things like that. So it's like whenever something like that shows up, it's just a very quick split-second decision, or even perhaps even not, because you might be like thinking like, all right, what are the possible options for my experience here? What are the things I need to be looking out for and preparing myself for any given situation during this run?
Yeah. And the catch rate, really best case scenario for the Chansey catch chance is close to 50%. You don't have Ultra Balls at this point, so you don't get that 68% chance. Yeah, it's 57% chance. So you could be sitting there for a while if things don't go your way. Even like a 65% chance. What on earth happened with that T-Pad Nidoran female catch?
Yeah, this is unfortunately
like
one of the ones. Yeah, and unfortunately because T-Pat had bought excess of 20 Great Balls, he still had the Premier Ball in his right Joy-Con, and a Great Premier Great Throw on I believe on any of these Pokemon is unfortunately not a guaranteed catch. That's probably like a 7% chance to break out if I had to guess.
Yeah, and I think it only hit with the Premier Ball.
I see. Got it.
So even worse than that.
One other thing too that I see a lot of top level runners push is fast catches during this section. The only real experience bombs, so to speak, that you really want to see here are things like Raticate, maybe a Nidorino or a Nidorina, and then things like Graveler and Rock Tunnel, as Eradicate shows up on Edda's screen with no Pokemon to supplement it to gain experience for. But you'll see a lot of runners.
Crab. That's
certainly a Route 10.
That's certainly a Route 10. Not a good one. But he does get the Raticate, and he does have Rattata earlier. So nice to get that extra experience. This Krabby was also glowing and will give a nice chunk.
T-Pat expecting the juke from the Krabby and just throws right out of the gate. Hopefully he doesn't get too punished for it, gets in the ball. And that is also a Wombo Crab.
That's a Wombo, yep. That's a Wombo.
Abra jumps directly from level 17 to 21. Goodness.
And actually, that ends up being good because Kadabra learns Nightshade at 19, so it actually skips over that. But you do see the jingle and the level up, so taking time anyway. Yeah, no
all three
issue.
runners in full blitz catch mode here, trying to get out of Route 10 or Route 10 as soon as possible.
Yeah. I think everyone's got a high enough catch count that if they're like, okay, nothing else is showing up, like all of them would probably say, okay, I'm out of here. You know, all of them are at least decent position, and you see Head Bob is taking off. He's going to go ahead, fight this rocket grunt here at the end of Route 10 before finding his way into Rock Tunnel.
I am fully expecting a Head Bob to head back into the grass after this Team Rocket Grunt fight. I am being corrected right now as he has just unmarked all the Nidoran line on his tracker. So in lieu of both Nidoran lines, has marked Tentacool to get to a 50 planned.
Yeah, not optimal to be seeing Tentacool. Definitely not optimal to be seeing it this early. Tentacool is a catch that is in the water, so you can only use 1C, and it is a level 43 catch, so it is not all that likely to get in. So you'd rather not catch Tentacool. Plus, it moves around from side to side on the screen. So you'd rather catch other things, but if things just don't show up, you know, these runners do have plenty of experience catching Pokemon that they don't necessarily want to catch. So it's at this level, it's, well, so-and-so didn't show up. Tough luck. On to the next one. Etiquette getting his Raticate here for some nice, healthy experience.
I'm curious on the order of operations for Head Bob here. I believe caught a rat on... Oh, Rhyhorn is really
that
good
solves
for Head
that
Bob.
problem. That is
yeah,
Rhyhorn.
Exactly. I don't recall whether Head Bob caught a Rattata on Route 10 or if he caught one earlier. Did have Eradicate on screen, maybe opting to just evolve the Rattata and hoping to get good XP through Tunnel, or possibly like Eradicate on like Route 7 or 8 or something. Because I think Head Bob's EV is 22 at the moment, going to be probably 23 following this Rhyhorn. Yeah, there's the Rattata still in party, I see. So it'll be interesting to see if he opts to deposit the Rattata on riding the Rhyhorn, along with depositing Weepinbell and Kadabra, or if he keeps it in for just the easy level up into evolution. It's like that weird balance of catches versus EXP.
Right. If I'm him, I'm probably, you know, okay, I'm going to ride the Rhyhorn. You know, you want to do that right away when you're in Rock Tunnel. That's got to be the first thing you do is, okay, I can essentially double my speed. Need to get that done right away. But his party just filled up, and there's a Graveler. So
okay,
here comes a nice experience for him.
Yeah, probably already saw the Graveler on screen. So because this Graveler would have been in the party post marking Rhyhorn depositing, instead he's just going to get all of the Pokemon out of this party, so that's just Eevee and Rhyhorn to make space for the Machop, Cubone, etc. that'll eventually come in Rock Tunnel.
And
they're the level ups. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So Graveler going straight to the box. This is, you know, even had he seen Graveler, then Graveler and Rhyhorn at the same time, you know, this was the correct catch order for multiple reasons. One, for party management, which we've been over. Two, you want to get that Rhyhorn some experience if you can help it. Getting the Rhyhorn to level 25 before the J&J2 fight is very important. Helps with the drill run ranges quite a bit. So just little things like that is what separate these top runners. Just knowing, okay, I want to catch this right now. I'm looking for this right now. If I see two Pokemon, which one of them am I going to catch? How do I prioritize? And that's what these runners are able to do, and do it very quickly.
Rhyhorn immediately for Etiquette. very solid. Just waiting for a Rhyhorn on T-Pat side. Hopefully will show up immediately following the Slowpoke trainer. I want to see all 3 of our racers get on that ride ASAP. Was that a
Etiquette
Joy-Con moment?
Once again, a Joy-Con moment. But
Gets
it gets in.
thankfully.
That was another 1C throw. So it is a lot less likely to get in. Unfortunately, it does give him quite a bit less experience. It's about half of what you would get if it were a successful 2C throw. But man, a Rhyhorn's a Rhyhorn, so he'll take it and he will keep on moving.
It is a Rhyhorn. Etiquette been practicing that 1 player, 1 controller category for PSR Marathon. Maybe a little crossover here that's unintended, but
I guess. Yeah, we'll have to ask him about that later. It's like, were you memeing on us a little bit? Was this?
I doubt it.
I do too. It's
probably just another Joy-Con moment. Headbop getting accosted by multiple floating things on its way to the Kangaskhan trainer that T-Pat has just beaten. Going to opt to menu here and possibly repel reset the tunnel area. Repels in this game clear out all Pokemon for a certain number of steps immediately, and if you use a lure following it, it'll just be like nothing ever happened, and Pokemon will continue to spawn as normal. So if you got like 2 Pokemon that corridor to the trainer, probably worth it to just menu and repel reset the route rather than having to encounter all of them and run away.
Yeah, especially if it's an Onix or another Pokemon that for whatever reason you haven't caught yet. There's actually a little bit of a difference. You can see it on Etiquette's screen right now. When you've caught a Pokemon, it does its little growl animation or whatever, and that takes, in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 seconds. Whereas if you've already caught it, it'll just kind of stand there and look at you. So you can run away from it, and that whole sequence takes about 4 seconds, where it's more like 10 if you haven't seen something. So again, a little advanced tech that you can do differently depending on whether you've seen a Pokemon or not. So if you have to run into the one you haven't seen before, or run into the one you've already caught, so that it takes less time to run away.
Yeah, and for everything that good turnaround for T-Pat around the hiker. Doing a little 360
Kangaskhan on Etiquette's screen.
It says goodbye
where's
immediately.
The AOP?
Goodbye, Kangaskhan. Hello, Rhyhorn T-Pat's screen. That was actually a very quick double turn from the hiker. I'm surprised that he turned so fast, but T-Pat keeping his wits about him, hearing the Rhyhorn on the right side of his screen, goes back immediately for it. So no cringe, no rides from anybody this race, thankfully.
You love to see it. I mean, between we're walking here situations, and all good starters. You want, and especially in a race like this, where this is, again, we said it at the top, this is a showcase of the 3 of our best. You want a fair, level playing field.
Dear. All right. Headbob electing to actually go for this Golbat. Hits the Raz on it, so the Golbat is going to move. Ends up attacking, so it's going to stick in place for at least 1 more attack cycle so that Headbob can get the Great.
Gets the Great on it, too.
I think with the Great and Raz, this is about an 81% chance to get in. Just based off of vibes. But yeah, nice, very, very solid. It's not every day that you see a Golbat caught. But Headbob skipping out on Route 10 almost immediately kind of warrants the situation.
Interesting. And then it's just going to pass on the Zubat, it looks like, as he's got one on his screen. Of course, the Zubat shows up after the Golbat hit. Ooh, T-Pat almost getting trolled by the hiker. He had a ton of Pokemon to go around. And the hiker just decided to spin. Fortunately, in this game, the spinning trainer has to be fully in place in order to see you. So T-Pat getting out of there before that spin happened just by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, to go back to Head Bob, Head Bob did end up catching a Zubat way back in Mount Moon to fix his EXP.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So,
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, so the Golbat here is pretty solid. Etiquette seeing the other end of the whole spinner reset cycle, because the spinner was already facing down, had to wait out the full rotation before the spinner looked left. Headbob taking this a little bit safe. The spinner can look any one of 3 directions and just passing right on through.
This is a dangerous fight that T-Pat's just heading into now with Ace Trainer Sophia. She's got a Vulpix that uses Flamethrower and likes to burn. And she's also got a Kadabra with Psybeam that almost always outspeeds. So this is a fight, when I run Eevee, which emphasize, I don't run Eevee that often. This is a fight where you just breathe a sigh of relief when you're done with it. You don't walk out of there with no burns, no confusion, no critical hits, and T-Pat has done just that.
Very, very, very solid. I have run Eevee once, but it was with somebody coaching me the entire way, also with 2C the entire way. So made Rock Tunnel a little bit safer, I would imagine, than some of these 1C fights that we're seeing on screen.
Yes.
No clue how T-Pat managed to dodge that Cubone on the tail end of his Rhyhorn. Notably, also still does not have Graveler, so even though he's been in a very solid EXP spot up till now, is not going to get that continuous boost with that Graveler for Hideout, it looks like, assuming that nothing spawns between this trainer and the exit.
Take a look at the level. So he's at kind of the high end of 26. He could opt to catch something between now and Hideout, but I think you're right. I think he would need that Graveler to reliably have double edge for the fights where it would actually be helpful. So, whereas Etiquette, seeing is already at level 27, and after the EXP from these 2 fights, will be even higher up. Crit from the Vulpix, that's mean.
Crits it right back. Eye for an eye there. Headbob having a time, only has 49 planned due to not getting that Machop. So is going to have to come up with a one-off catch somewhere along the way. Already has Ninetales marks, so is planning on picking up a Firestone, whether it would be the one on Route 8 here, which Eevee typically doesn't go into unless you need something else, or the one in Mansion following the Ted fight.
Yeah, and that's start to worry when that catch count is low. Kind of my rule is when you start to get into the 20s coming out of Rock Tunnel, it gets a little bit scary. For those who watched the race last night, Tucker had actually an even lower catch count than this one. He had 26, I believe, coming out, and it just he was actually had a very, very good run, but actually had to go catch Venonat on Route 15, and it was a time. He ended up catching Chansey while he was there. It just took him so much time.
As much as I do enjoy real moth hours, I do not wish for any racer today to have to go onto Route 15 to catch a Venonat to evolve into Venomoth.
No, that is... I mean, it was kind of appropriate that it was, like midnight in my time when I was waiting. So it was very much moth hours. But yeah, that was that. When you have that situation, you're sitting there like, things show up quickly. And in his case, it took like 3 respawns of the route to see it, and at that point, especially, you're going up against somebody like Amber who just threw down an excellent run in the process. There's just so little room for so little wiggle room to begin with that waiting a minute plus the time it takes to get to Route 15, that's just GG's.
Yeah, at this point in the run, we're starting to think about how we're going to finish up our catch counts as we go through the battle gauntlet of Hideout here. T-Pat and Etta, with 30 and 31 respectively, have a pretty healthy catch route going into the end game. Both of them are looking at Pidgey through Pidgeot in order to complete an off-odd catch count, whereas Headbob has currently everything in the kitchen sink planned, plus whatever like Magmar, Tangela, etc., what have you. So really, really hoping that everything shows up for Headbob from here on out. But if T-Pat and Etta miss Ghastly, for example, it's not going to put too much of a damper on their plans because they can always fall back to something like Tentacool. Etta also doesn't even have coughing or wheezing marks either, so very, very healthy on his catch count.
Yeah, and that's where that comes into handy is on like Route 17. Oh, there's no Psyduck? Okay, see you later. Bye.
Yeah, you can just blitz through.
You're still going to want to catch things like Ponyta and Doduo there. Probably Pidgey as well, just because you want that catch. But like, you can just if a problem arises, you can say, okay, I'll make it up on the next route.
Aurora Beam coming in for Headbob could have been a little dicey if Aurora Beam dropped. I believe Aurora Beam drops attack. I believe
that's correct.
So would have to swap over to something like Sizzly Slide to finish off the Clefairy. This Clefairy can be super
and Sizzly Slide is a physical attack in its own right, so probably would want to do like a Bouncy Bubble or a Buzzy Buzz to do it. But Clefairy has pretty high special defense. The punchline is it probably don't even get it in 2 hits if that Aurora Beam were to proc.
Yeah. So Etiquette is level 28 now. I believe has taught Double Edge, so won't be seeing any Metronome shenanigans from this upcoming Clefairy. And we'll get to see just like how well Eevee does through this next section and just blitzes through with Double Edge in its back pocket. Double Edge being a 120 base power move, upped by stab to 180 versus Headbutt's 105, essentially.
Interesting. Headbob actually saw an Abra there on screen?
Already has Kadabra.
Already has it. Okay,
yeah, so can't even go for something to like Route 8 Abra to bail him out on the way back from Celadon, assuming things go awry.
Yeah, so, I mean, just unfortunate there. Something like that could have helped him out, but again, already caught it. But yeah, Etiquette having Double Edge, that's going to help so much on some of these fights. It's going to help on the Raticate fight, and it's going to help right now, as you mentioned, Dynam. It's going to help for this Clefairy fight, because you don't have a situation where Clefairy can just go boom on you, or just do other mean things. It'll help for the Raticate fight, it'll help for the Hypno fight. There's a trainer with a Rattata and a Voltorb in Rocket Hideout that helps for those fights. So it can gain quite a bit of time from Etiquette's perspective that T-Pat and Headbob just aren't going to have access to because they do not have Double Edge. So T-Pat actually taking a variation, I think, of this fight. He moved Machop into, and Headbob gets KO'd by the Raticate.
No! Yeah, Raticate outspeeding, gets Super Fang off on turn 1, and ends up KOing the Eevee on the next turn. Just very, very unlucky. Wasn't sure if that was a crit or not, but Raticate definitely ended up outspeeding that Eevee. Has 64 speed. Thankfully, Rhyhorn is going to finish it off. He's going to push Rhyhorn a little bit further down the EXP line for J&J, but that's still a revive that's burned on Headbob's side.
Yeah, and you could see the safer variation that T-Pat took of that same fight. He actually pulled Machop in and 2-seed the fight. It's actually a version when I do EV. That's what I like to do. Is even if you're at level 24, you can X attack the Machop and then use Brick Break. It's a one-hit KO of the Raticate. You do risk the Raticate attacking that Machop and getting a flinch because it knows Bite and Hyper Fang, but it is just so much safer than trying to 1C that. And we saw what happened with Head Bob trying to 1C there. And that the result is the feint. You have to menu after, you have to see the feint animation. So actually losing quite a bit of time to that as a result.
Yeah, honestly, respect on Head Bob's side though. Like understanding that he is 2 catches behind T-Pat, but pace for pace in story progression, and still needs to like catch like Magmar, Tangela. Like understands that if he wants to win this race, he needs to start like gaining time now. Essentially, he can't wait until things like Archer. Can't wait until like Giovanni, the E4 Gauntlet. Like that time save needs to come now.
Yep. So T-Pat, because he gets to 28, and that was after the Hypno fight. That's usually what Eevee does. If you're at Hypno, or after the Hypno fight, and you try to learn Double Edge, you just skip it. Because it's no longer worth it. You would only use it on one fight, and it's just not worth it at that point to teach. Because there are other strategies for it's actually this very fight. And you'll see T-Pat's going to go ahead and 2C this fight. In all likelihood, going to use Bouncy Bubble to heal up his Eevee while using the second controller to boost up his stats.
It's like Rhyhorn is understanding that there's 3 Pokemon right before J&J is probably going to hit level 25 over on T-Pat's side. I know at the very least on Pika version, you also want Rhyhorn to hit 25 because with Rhyhorn and Nidoking, you 2v2 J&J and just pump X attacks and helping hands into Rhyhorn. Whereas on the Eevee side, you can kind of do it in a couple different ways, I feel like. You can do Eevee Rhyhorn, have one knock out the Arbok, other knock out the Weezing, depending on stats, depending on levels, things like that. So we'll see what these runners end up doing for the upcoming
Etiquette
fight.
Gets put to sleep by the Hypno, so that'll take a turn. But able to get the Double Edge off. So pluses and minuses here of Double Edge that we're seeing. On the plus side, that Hypno went down in one hit after the X attack and then the Awakening. On the other hand, he had to then take a separate menu to heal because he was down into the 20s on HP. So getting the fight done faster, but then having to follow up with the menus. So you take with the good with the bad with Double Edge. In aggregate, it's probably still a little bit faster.
I would agree on that.
So we're seeing on Head Bob's screen has beaten the grunts that he needed to beat. So he is getting up on a rolling chair.
Don't worry, you can lock the rolling chair. It's stable. We've been over this before. Yeah, it's fine.
This is not a law offices of Pokétax attorney approved practice. But sure, okay, kids at home who definitely know how to lock a rolling chair. Don't do that at home, please.
I say as I'm currently like spinning back and forth in my own rolling chair.
Yeah. And chat, go right on ahead and mark that one out on your bingo cards. Have a nice day. So Etiquette finishing up this last grunt fight. Again, a smidge behind in progression because he's got that extra catch or 3 compared to Head Bob. Hurt goes perfectly fine there. He knew he was going to have to heal after this fight anyway, so he's just like, I'm just going for it. That Grimer has one attacking move, it's Sludge. Be able to live that even with the poison damage if that's where it came to. So all's well there for etiquette. And our other two runners are getting really, 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 really dizzy.
This is true. Don't get ratioed by spinning tiles, I guess.
Yeah.
Shouts to Giovanni's gym.
Oh, I did a run yesterday where I got double ratioed on. I was just like, come on, man. Once is enough.
Like, at that point, you just, like, take the L and you get seen by Samuel and move on with your day.
Yes. So,
Right.
J&J 2 for both Head Bob and T-Pat. This can be a pivotal fight, and a dangerous fight for... the notes in Eevee actually say, don't get unlucky, and there's a reason. Interestingly enough, Head Bob coming in with low HP into this fight, usually the strat is to heal all the way to full. And
that
that's
is
why.
Dangerous HP, but does get Power of Love, but the poison and doesn't expel. No. Oh dear.
Man, that is why the notes say, number one, do not get unlucky, and number two, heal to full. Because we just saw that double target from Arbok and Weezing, and even though Eevee had Power of Love, it still got poisoned. So Head Bob is going to go ahead and take the DNF here, understandably.
Yeah, GG's to Head Bob. Just not enough Power of Love, unfortunately. Get some rest, dude.
Yep.
But now we've got... Alright, buckle in, boys. We're in for a gnarly 1v1 here.
Yes.
If that's how the saying goes.
This is gonna be, do not be fooled. Yes, Etiquette's behind by one J&J fight. That is, considering the hour and a half we've got left, that is nothing.
Mm-hmm. We're still here for another hour and a half, so...
Yeah. If folks were watching the semifinal on Tuesday, which I also commentated, those of you who are watching this one and watched that one, are you sick of my voice yet? I'm sorry. But that had three runners all going back and forth just consistently throughout that run. Do not be surprised if something like that happens here as well.
Looks like Poison Jab goes into the Rhyhorn on Edda's screen, so exceptionally safe fight from here on out. Probably just gonna pump another X item into Eevee or Rhyhorn and take out that Weezing.
Yeah, just doing the Glitzy Glow version of this fight. It's just a little bit safer. What's nice about Glitzy Glow, and actually gets the crit on the Weezing, it saves a turn, very nice from Etiquette. What's nice about that fight is you put up a light screen. So you might have noticed on Head Bob's screen that Head Bob got hit with Dark Pulse. Well, as a special move, that would have done half damage to Etiquette. Because Glitzy Glow puts up that light screen.
Right.
So it's a little bit safer of a fight. It's a lot less likely to... You're not going to two-turn it like you can with just pumping up Rhyhorn, but it's a pretty safe fight in all. It tends to be 4 turns, but it's a lot safer.
Yeah, and notably remember that Etiquette's Eevee does have pretty decent special attack, so is going to probably hit those ranges a little bit harder. Notably, also one-hit KOs the Weezing, which is not something that you see every day.
Oh, that's good Eevee stats right there, saving yet another turn.
Good Eevee stats, no crit needed. It just manages to hit the range. T-Pat over on this side is going for the Sizzly Slide version because he did not end up teaching Double Edge. We haven't mentioned this yet. Burn is a status ailment that not only deals damage every turn when you have it, but also halves your attack. So the Persian / crit, very scary. Splash Burn, not as scary, thankfully, and is going to heal right back up to near full with this bouncy bubble.
And notably, Etiquette screen, actually all the damage in that Archer 1 fight went onto Rhyhorn, which you do not use in Eevee for the Geo fight. So he's just going to go straight into this fight, does not have to heal. This has been an excellent Rocket Hideout for Etiquette.
Yeah, seeing this double edge like put in work to catch up to T-Pat here, and just the fights playing out as they need to.
Sandy, I just saw your comment. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is just saying. Well, we have a little okay. Just hoping for no crit from this Persian, and we don't get it. Excellent. T-Pack getting some extra Ultra Balls
just for that safety.
Just going for the safety there. No, thanks, Sandy, for the comment. It's just so fun. I don't know about you, Dynam. I love doing this.
It's been great having you on. I appreciate your commentary, your insightfulness. Basically echoing what Sandy said. It's been great having you and everybody else who's been helping commentate. Shout outs to all the other commentators, all of the people that have run tech, all the organizers of this tournament. It's been an absolute blast to watch and participate in on this side of things this year.
Oh yeah, it's just, the effort that people put into this, the tech staff. I can't believe some of the things they're able to do, and it's fun to. I was just a viewer last year. I really didn't even interact in chat. I was just kind of lurking and seeing what's behind the curtain this year, being a competitor this year, commentating, it's just a great way to be involved with this community, and I'm grateful that people have embraced me and my unique style, and I appreciate that. So we're heading into Pokemon Tower for T-Pat. Couple of fights against Haunters, but really what T-Pat's going to be looking for is that Castly. And there are options if he doesn't get it, but I really want to see that as we get closer to that 50 Pokemon catch count.
Yeah, at this point, Eda likes to just like unmark things just because that's his prerogative. But does have the Pidgey open to him, does have the Tenta, the Weezing, and whatnot. Etiquette also did not end up picking the Ultra Balls because his catch count is very solid and he has a lot of planned available still. So we'll see what Tower and Pokemon Road have to offer for him as he walks his way up this tower. T-Pat getting on the previous room, getting the good spinner cycle. If you just blitz it down the room and hug the bottom of the left wall, the spinner cannot see you. Haunter,
that's not what you want to see. That's Big Ghost.
Excuse me, pardon me. Do not want that one specifically. And at this point, experience doesn't really matter all too much. You're about to get rid of your partner Pokemon anyway, so you don't want any extra experience on the Eevee.
I mean, we have to say goodbye to Eevee? How sad.
Well, I'm sure we'll see it on Pokemon Road. At least one Eevee will surely show up for one of the runners, and they'll be wishing that they were running AOP instead. It's that simple.
I mean, we had Kangaskhan earlier.
True.
D-Pat really loading up on Ultra Balls. He got the 5 in Rocket Hideout and then gets the 3 here. So add that to the 5 that Sophia gives. You beat the Vulpix with Flamethrower and the Kadabra with Psybeam, and you get 5 Ultra Balls for free. I guess that works.
Certainly does.
So he's got 13 of them. which is absolutely more than enough.
Yeah, when you're at this caliber of a race and you're really thinking like, what are the time saves that I can afford to take, and like what are the safetiest strats that I can afford to skip? Like T-Pat just wants to get out of this catching section as fast as possible and as safely as possible. Is hanging around a little bit for the Ghastly.
It's
Is going to
Haunter
pass.
again. He's got to go.
Yeah, pass on the
It
second
actually
Haunter.
did pop a lure trying to get normally the lure gets popped once you get down from tower after talking to Mr. Fuji over here. But tried to pop a lure trying to get that Ghastly to show up, and it did not do it. He just got bodied by Haunters. So gonna pass on the Ghastly, and may have to get a little creative.
Yeah, instantly seeing the flip from Ghastly Haunter marks on T-Pat's tracker to Tentacool Tentacruel marked as its replacement, as is tradition.
Yep. Again, as we were talking about earlier, not what we want to do.
Oh no, that's a crit.
Hit on the ED!
That is bad news bears for T-Pat. Thankfully, Dark Pulse goes into the Rhyhorn.
Take the Dark Pulse!
Okay, this is totally fine on T-Pat's end.
Goodness.
Just gonna bouncy bubble the Arbok for like a little bit of HP restoration, and gets poisoned.
Here, look out!
Everything's fine? Question mark.
Look out!
We do have that Glitzy Glow light screen up, so this Sludge Bomb will get its damage halved or Dark Pulse respectively. So we're just gonna hold our breath and hope for the best for T-Pat here. Sludge Bomb goes into the Eevee.
Okay,
This is gonna die from poison, unfortunately.
Oh, no!
And this presents a very large opportunity for Edda to catch up here. Edda being about, I would have said, like a cutscene behind T-Pat, is now probably on pace with T-Pat coming out of tower.
Edda did not have a very smooth Ghastly catch. I believe I saw a breakout over on his screen. But not going to hurt him at all because this J&J 3 fight for T-Pat has gone sideways. And it's continuing to go sideways, but Chomp faints there.
Yeah, it's going to have to pull out the Eevee again to Glitzy Glow and drill run the Weezing, maybe even revive the Machop so that it gets XP for the next catching section of the run. But that is a time loss that you do not want to have, especially if you are in the lead.
No, not at all. I would say, fights like that, I'm not saying that it is in the lead now. It's very, very, very close. But I think it's fair to say T-Pat going in probably had a small advantage. That small advantage is gone.
Yeah, the playing field is essentially even at this point, especially considering that Etiquette might just, blitz through this fight with a strong special attack Eevee as well. So depending on how this fight goes for him, we might be seeing even more of a catch-up scenario from him.
Yep. Okay, attacked on the Eevee and gets poisoned.
And Dark Pulse and
gets the power of love.
Wow. All right. Opting to Sizzly Slide to skip the heal animation because the Super Potion will bring Eevee back to full. And as long as neither of these things crit or poison again, should be safe to finish out the fight strong. Even another Dark Pulse going into the Rhyhorn, which is actually solid if the Rhyhorn goes down as the Eevee kills the Weezing, just so that it doesn't gain extra levels going in. But +2 Glitzy Glow into the Weezing, knocks it out, no problem. And that is a very clean fight from Etiquette on J&J 3.
Yep. Yeah, that's a minute difference between T-Pat and Etiquette's fight. You're seeing the effect of one getting unlucky, which T-Pat did not follow the notes. He got unlucky. And number two, Etiquette's high special attack, taking out the Weezing there, saving yet another turn. So Just when you think, okay, there's a runner who's getting a little bit of an advantage, here comes RNG. Here comes a fight where the stats favor maybe the other runner a little bit, and it's anybody's ball game again.
Exactly. The balance of power and RNG is very, very volatile when it comes to Let's Go. The two things that we will definitely want to see happen early for these runners going to the next catch section: one, Ponyta immediately. How fast they'll be able to traverse through the rest of the game will be dependent on when they see this Ponyta that spawns. And then the second part comes in on the water route, Route 21, where they want to spend as minimal time as possible, just rush down the route and get a Staryu on their way into Pokemon Mansion. T-Pat already halfway through the route, no Pony to be seen.
There's a Pidgey. So
multiple Pidgey. Is probably going to hang out for a little bit, hoping for a Ponyta spawn, but instead just going to go for the Pidgey while it's still here. When you do catch a Pokemon, you are on what's called a catch chain for that Pokemon, which increases the spawn percentage of that specific Pokemon by about 5%, give or take. So Ponyta will be slightly less likely to spawn now, but we're still hoping for something to show up for T-Bat. I believe he still has a Repel in his back pocket, so assuming that all 6 Pokemon slots are filled up, you should be able to Repel reset the route if needed, but that's still things that you don't want to see. But
that's a good little spawn cluster there for T-Pat, getting Doduo and Ponyta.
Very nice.
He's gonna want Psyduck as well. So unlike Etiquette, where Etiquette could potentially face a situation similar to that of T-Pat, okay, if this were Etiquette would just say, okay, see you later, buddy. I'm just gonna mark Tentacool and go with it.
Rapidash runs into him.
Rapidash?
Rapidash used Flare Blitz on Etiquette. Super effective, apparently.
Yeah, what is that Rapidash do? Okay, and immediately gets the Ponyta. Again, you want to see it straight away, so Etiquette can take the faster dash down Route 17.
Exactly.
That pony is jumping.
All right, there's the attack. Etiquette will get the throw off. Great with Ultra Great is pretty solidly in. I will say that T-Pat was very cognizant. Psyduck on T-Pat screen, very good. To grab the Dojo before the Ponyta in order to ensure some extra experience onto the things that he needs to level. Because as soon as this Ponyta gets in the ball, he's going to want to do a menu to candy that Ponyta, put in Rapidash as a ride Pokemon, and get rid of all of the Pokemon that he does not need to level up. And because you're candying Ponyta anyway, very cool. Because you're candying Ponyta anyway, it doesn't need the extra XP to get it to level up like you would do in Pika. So good presence of mind for order of operations on this route.
And T-Pat does get the Psyduck. That was an excellent chunk of grass. You know, I would have expected he'd be waiting here for a while. But as luck would have it, he's got everything he needs. He can get off this route. That's nice from his perspective. One thing I will be watching on T-Pat's side, that Machop is fainted.
Correct.
If you remember from the J&J 3 fight. So right now it's just taking up a slot in the party and not able to get experience. And it's only level 26. So given that he's got a number of other catches to do and Evos to do, how is he going to balance that Machop needing to get another level and a half or so with Tentacool coming into the party with
here comes the revive.
Staryu in. Yeah, he does use the revive there.
Yeah, so along with the Psyduck catch, this should at the very least remove Cubone from the party once all catches are said and done over on T-Pat's side. So I expect T-Pat's final party to be something along the lines, ooh,
Etiquette with
Doduo
a
breakout.
breakout
That's
on
really
Doduo.
unfortunate.
He did not get a judge throw on that because the Doduo kind of jumped at the wrong time.
Yeah, this should still be fine for T-Pat's final party management. Excluding Star and Rapidash, you'll need to get definitely Coughing, definitely Tentacool, and then Pidgey needs to stay in the party, which means that he's looking to get let's see, Doduo Evolve. Probably won't end up keeping Dodrio in the party just for sake of party management, and then hoping to get Psyduck leveled up as well, I believe.
Yep, that sounds right to me. Yeah, normally you would keep the Dodrio in the party, and you would use it in a couple of fights. It's a little more safe than using Rapidash, but yeah, T-Pat's going to be bringing in multiple Pokemon that all need to be leveled. So I agree with you. I think we'll be seeing Rapidash strats from T-Pat. I think we might even have seen them anyway, notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Etiquette going to go for Pidgeotto here. It's a fine catch. Unfortunately, not hitting the circle, so a little less likely to get in. Let's hope for no additional breakouts on Etiquette's side.
Gosh.
Nice job, announcer. Boo this man.
The thing, even with Nanaberries, on flying Pokemon specifically, is that you'll notice like the wing beats moving the Pokemon up and down. It's very similar to things like Fearow, Golbat, any other flying Pokemon, Venomoth, I guess, if you're really stretching for ideas. So even though a Nanaberry will hold the Pokemon in place on the screen, its model is still going to move up and down just a little bit, which can decenter a throw, which is very unfortunate for Etta. That's 2 breakouts on Pokemon Road, which kind of starts pushing the ball back into T-Pat's court for advantages.
Right, I was going to say, T-Pat definitely picking up some time there. But again, T-Pat's got some things that need to show up. He's got to get Tenta, he's got to get Star, he's got to get Coughing. So I'd never like having 2 spawns on Route 21 if I could avoid it. Because, as you were saying earlier, Dynam, so he's going to catch this Tentacool. And that's the right call. You see it, you want it. You got it. Shoutouts to apparently Ariana Grande, which I'm referencing for some reason. Anyway, okay. So gets that, but he's gonna be on a Tentacool catch chain.
Right.
So he will be looking presumably at more Tentas than normal, and sometimes it's even hard to find Star just under normal circumstances. On a Tentacool catch chain, it's even harder.
Yeah, I am actually thinking a little bit harder on how T-Pat's party management is going to act up, because I think that Doduo, that was the first instance of EXP past the Psyduck, rather. So got Psyduck EXP, got glowing great Tenta XP. Star Dish Up for T-Pat, that's really good. Let's take a quick look at the
makes
CP.
Me eat my words.
We're looking at 1088.
That
okay,
is solid.
That is pretty solid in terms of just average stat distribution. Just gonna get in pretty well here. I don't think... Yeah, T-Pat's gonna have an extra slot, I believe. And we'll have to see what he ends up doing. There are a couple of options to deal with this, because that Cubone still is not evolved, so it's going to probably wait until at least the Coughing is caught in order to make a decision on how he's going to manage his party. Ideally, does not run to a Tentacool, runs into a glowing Coughing instead.
Mollywopped by this Tentacool, but you do not want to try to catch that. It is mean.
Right. So Cubone will assuredly be out of the party. Machop, possibly. Doduo, possibly. Depending on this next catch.
I was going to say, this would be a time for a glowing Coughing, just to get that Machop out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was even thinking that because T-Pat had so many Ultra Balls, and
That
there's
is a
the
glowing
glowing
coughing.
coughing. That is exactly what T-Pat needed to fix his party management. I was going to say that T-Pat could have had the option to go for the Tangela catch, because that Tangela was indeed glowing, and that would almost certainly get everything that is in his party that he doesn't need currently out of his party. And Etiquette
Another
getting a
breakout
third
for Etiquette,
breakout.
this time on the Penta.
And I think that was just like
Yeah,
a full excellent Ultra Ball throw, which is like a 90-something%, give or take. So just very, very unlucky all around. Machop is
And
out
would
of
you
the
see
party.
effect of the glowing coughing? Machop is out, Cubone is out. So yep, to your point, Dynam, that fixes a lot of problems from T-Pat's perspective.
Yeah, he still needs to hold on to, let's see here, Star
He's
Pony.
talking extra rare candy in the chat.
Because
that's a
it's
possibility as well.
Yeah, specifically Doduo did not level up. The two Pokemon that you catch in Rock Tunnel, Cubone and Machop did. However, Doduo did not, which causes a 5th slot to be forced, essentially. So it is going to probably either rare candy now or deposit Dodrio after Ted.
1065 star for Etiquette, which is right around average. Average is 1062, but we won't know anything really until we actually see the stat distributions on the star. Dynam, you alluded to it. CP is an indicator of the average stat distribution for Pokemon. That does not mean it is good for our purposes. In fact, there are plenty of scenarios where you see an 1100 plus star that's just awful. And there are instances where you have low 1000s and it's excellent. So it tends to be an indicator, but it is absolutely not definitive.
Etiquette skirting around the Magmar that spawns almost directly on top of him. But Etiquette just looking for that singular coughing. His party management does look to be in a better space than T-Pat's currently. Is T-Pat going to put in that coughing for level ups? And let's take a look at what this star looks like, shall we?
That's a good star. That's a good star.
It is decent enough in terms of special attack, and speed is nothing to worry about for sure.
Yeah. The special attack, I mean, is there better? Of course there is. But
Etiquette really wants his coughing right now.
Yes.
Waiting for it to meander over to his screen, his side of the screen, so he can do some party management over here. Gonna swap to Great Balls because he did use that last Ultra Ball that he had on the Staryu, and this will honestly good call on Edit to wait for the coughing to meander over, just so that he does not have to do 2 menus, one before Ted to fight him and then one after Ted to party manage.
Yep, I totally agree with that. I mean, it took an extra second or two to save probably 6 or 8 seconds.
Exactly. That Cubone's going to get out of the party. Perfect. So Etiquette currently with 44. Once this Marowak evolution animation is done, is going to do some party management here. I'm sorry, what?
What was that hitbox?
T-Pat got robbed on that hitbox. That Weezing tagged the very tip of Eevee's tail and said, "You're getting into an encounter with me."
Did Weezing like do a cosplay as Onyx there or something? what was the deal with that?
That was
my goodness
awful.
Etiquette doing his party management now. Unfortunately, yeah, nope, he's gonna be just fine in terms of party space.
I'm gonna put that Doju in slot 2. Oh. Okay.
Speed is fine. The special attack is
absolutely not. That is like close to minimum special attack on the star.
I think it could be 72 at 43. That was 73. at actual minimum special attack, you can actually have the muck on Archer 2 be a range, and that is bad news when that happens, because that muck can troll. So fortunately, not that bad, but
right. Thankfully, T-Pat is getting the Dodrio evolution immediately on Ted, so party management is saved. Just going to do some party management on the escape rope menu, more than likely to bring in the final Pokemon that he needs to evolve.
Yeah,
Etiquette
so
now going
T-Pat
to the Ted fight here. Go ahead.
Ted fight is scary. You have an Electrode that has Thunderbolt that can just raid up, paralyze you. It'll KO you with a critical hit. Almost T-Pat getting mollywopped by the robber there. But Etiquette notably using the Doduo on this Ted fight. I actually like that strat a lot. Because the AI detects, oh look, a Doduo, I can KO that, and in fact I'm guaranteed to KO that. So much more likely to go for that Doduo than it would the Starmie, where the Starmie could get crit, the Starmie could get paralyzed, and that's just where that could turn catastrophic. So I do like that strat.
T-Pat very barely dodging another Weezing pop-up, and then a rat that said, oh hey look, a secret key, I want it.
Yeah, had to fight the rat for the secret key. That's I don't know if that's what that's what Blaine or whoever in his gym had in mind when they threw the secret key down there. Oh look, it's a rat.
Yeah, Etiquette likely going to just revive the Doduo on this next menu instead of taking the bed heal. High rat. You hate to see it. Like small Pokemon like Rattata and Ditto can just hide behind these walls and just completely troll you. Oddly enough, did fix the spinner cycle, so like nothing gained, nothing lost there, I suppose. I guess it is taking the bed heal in that case.
Yeah, he had to revive the Doduo so that it can continue to get experience and eventually evolve into Dodrio. I just want to remark, even though you've seen both of these runners find a good amount of adversity, I'm specifically thinking T-Pat and his J&J 3 fight. It just bears noting how fast these runs are. T-Pat is probably high 301 to low 302 pace. I would throw a party if I were able to do that. Like that is, and it would be quite the rager. Like that's incredible. And he had a death to J&J 3. Like just the level at which these runners are executing is phenomenal.
Yeah, especially in a race environment. Yeah, okay. Confused Ray going on to Starmie here. Like, especially in this environment, like in a race environment, like these two runners, like PB pace for them is like you see a sub 2 Blaine once and you just like never look back, essentially. But like T-Pat having an awful J&J fight in tower, Etta getting like 3 breakouts along the last catching section. Like it just speaks volumes that runners like these are able to consistently put up like 301, 302 times, even if they're not on their best day.
Right, and you see some of that through, what these runners are able to do just by sheer experience in this game. You know, you talk about catch routing, and that's certainly a major portion of this. And to newer runners, I would say, like, keep working on your catch routing. Like that's the first major hurdle of how can I get to like breaking 310. It's the catch routing, it's planning your catches out, much like what Dynam and I have been talking about throughout this run. But when you're at 305 and below, how do you keep getting better? It's repetition, repetition, repetition. Look at how fast these two runners are doing their menus. I mean, from my perspective, I've been playing this game for less than a year. I cannot go that fast on these menus. I just can't. It just comes with repetition. It comes with knowing what menu goes where, anticipating what's going to show up on the screen before it even shows up. And that comes with time, practice, and experience.
You know what time, practice, and experience does not prepare you for, however, is not realizing that you have been playing off of OBS Preview and lagging for 15 months. Do not play on OBS Preview, folks.
Yes, do not do that.
Scratch that one off your bingo card.
Yes, friends, don't let friends play on OBS Preview because it is slow. Yeah, let's... what did we decide on that? It's like a fourth of a second delay for any given input?
Like, it depends on your graphics card, but from personal experience, I have saved 2 minutes and 20 seconds in this category since breaking up with OBS Preview. So let that be a lesson to all to wire your capture cards correctly if you can.
Break up with your OBS. Did I just reference Ariana Grande again?
Perhaps.
Help! Send help! What is going on here? I am a mid-30s dude. Why am I referencing Ariana Grande?
Listen, it's all good. I don't even listen to a lot of, like, pop music these days.
Oh, dear.
My musical repertoire is, like, video game music and anime music. That's all I know.
I'm hip with the kids. You know, let me tell you something. When the kids come walking by my lawn, because I'm a middle-aged man in the suburbs, and they start walking on my lawn, you better believe I'm sprinting outside and telling them to get off my lawn. Where's Ariana Venti?
So yeah, we're just catching up on all of the badges that we skipped the first time around because now we're super overleveled. And Surge and Erica, yeah, they're things that we press Scald and Psychic on and try not to get DMCA'd and talk about things. I guess like the one like weird thing that you can do, not weird necessarily, but a sort of niche thing that can happen is say like you get super unlucky on Justine James, you like burn through all of your super potions, like, oh, Archer 2 is coming up, I need healing items. One alternative that you can do is you can pivot to doing Erica first, followed by Surge, and somewhere in between there you can shop in Vermilion to do some extra shopping. You'll buy stuff for the rest of the game. At that point, you'll buy like, because you haven't gotten Sabrina's gym badge, you won't have a full bevy of items to access, but you'll still have enough to like buy supers or hypers. You'll buy repels, things like that, just so that you can make sure that you don't get absolutely ratioed by Archer 2.
Yeah. Shout outs. I think it was Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Sandy that
Shout
you ended up Venmoing them.
Shout out to Sandy. For putting together notes that included that strat. I learned about Vermilion Shop the night before my round 2 race, and guess what? Ya boy needed those strats. So I was like, I'm going to keep this tab open just in case I run into a scenario, and I just burned through all of my supers. I ended up having what became an 8-turn Archer fight. And I still ended up winning the race because I had those strats. So I may or may not have Venmo'd Sandy a nice $10 for his next for their next drink after that series of events. So I was very grateful for Vermilion Shop strats.
I will say that it's not something that I have ever done before, just mostly because like I'm not participating in this tournament, so most of my attempts have just been PB attempts. And if I'm getting to the point where like I'm expecting Archer to go long, at that point it's probably a reset. So like the other option that you can do is that there are 2 hyper potions available, one in Tower right before the Marowak cutscene, as well as one in Hideout where you pick up the lift key. And those can be really good buffers in case you are running low or you think you're going to be running low on super potions. It's just a small cost of upending your bag menu a little bit until you end up shopping in Saffron again.
Yep. So starting the Erica fight for T-Pat, just getting into Erica's gym for Etiquette. This is a nice, trivial, easy fight. You hit Psychic 3 times and win. So fortunately for both of our runners, this is kind of the calm before the storm, if you will. So once we get out of here, we're gonna. I was gonna say fly to Saffron. That's not right. We're actually gonna fly back to Celadon. Yes, we're in Celadon. You fly to the same town because it's shorter to do.
And Eevee is way past level 15, which is why I predicted.
Yeah.
So we call a callback.
Yes. Yeah. So at that point, like, we will end up in Saffron. So you get on your horse and find your way to Saffron, and that's where we start to actually see some fights that can get kind of scary.
Yeah, we'll see if... So there's multiple ways to do the next upcoming fight. As Blue, his Executor is a very big problem for Starmie because Starmie has nothing that can hit it. So you can either use Dodrio, X-Attack Drill Peck will take it out assuredly. Rapidash has to land a Fire Blast, which is 85% accurate. There's various other things. Magmar, Venomoth, if you really want to venture out to Route 15, as I recently discovered. But I believe T-Pat has deposited the Dodrio just in terms of party management, and Etta is waiting on that Doduo to level up. I'm not sure if it gets to Dodrio at the end of this fight. We'll have to wait and see. If it doesn't, it's likely that he'll swap in Rapidash in that second slot.
Like, but then again, Etiquette did have a couple of breakouts, which did reduce the amount of experience. So, did he get it?
It does not look like
it.
So
both runners are going to be relying on Rapidash for this upcoming fight, which actually does have a higher top end overall because Rapidash has Stomp instead of relying on Drill Peck. So whatever stick. Go ahead.
I may be calling myself a liar here because Etiquette does have Dodrio marked on his tracker. So it might have just been that we missed the Dodrio evolution. We'll see in about a minute and a half here what he ends up doing here.
I think he he does have Dodrio marked, so maybe we just missed it. Happens when you're trying to look at 2 screens at once.
True. Skill issue.
Yeah, jeez. I was saying on Tuesday, it's like I need six sets of eyes because these runners are all going so close to one another. I don't need 6 today, but I do need 4. A problem which, by the way, this Executor does not have. So we're going to see the Fire Blast coming in, and it does hit the Fire Blast. It's an 85% move, so good for T-Pat getting that. Executor does like to put up light screen if you miss there. So not only does the Executor become a lot harder to KO, the Charizard that follows is as well. So saving a potential 3, 4, even 5 turn fight and makes it an easy 2-turn fight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the Star's special attack was. Okay, 118. No chance of it actually like getting a favorable range on Scald. I think at 128 it's guaranteed at +0. 125 is like a 15, 16, and so on and so forth. So this is the start of basically starting to pump X special attacks into Starmie. And this may end up being like a thing in late game. So we didn't see it too much this race, but there is a factor that we need to consider called turnarounds in this game. And there is the Dodrio for etiquette, so he'll get the guaranteed plus C drill pack off. Turnarounds are what happens when your Pokemon are really friendly with you and they really love you, and they do things like Power of Love, live on 1 HP, Power of Love, expel status ailments, things like that. At high enough friendship, they will begin to turn around if they score a super effective hit or you use a healing item on them in battle, and each one of those costs 2 seconds. And X items increase those by 1 point, rare candies by 5. That's something we'll figure out later, but for right now, we're getting right into Archer for T-Pat. This is, as we've seen time and time again,
right here,
a fight.
Fight. We want to see no protect from coughing, and we want to see self-destruct from the electrode.
Holding our breath for 15 seconds.
Okay,
Boom,
we get
protect.
one out of 2. Okay, so we do get the self-destruct from the electrode, but unfortunately the protect from coughing. That takes the 3-turn fight off the table. I mean, the 3-turn is the god fight here. You're very unlikely to get it. Unfortunately, also seeing Golbat come out first. Golbat has Crunch and likes to crunch your Starmie and can actually drop your defense.
That can be very sketchy.
Yeah, you'd much rather see Weezing come out here. There's the Crunch coming through and actually crits. So this is kind of a scary moment here for T-Pat. Gonna go ahead and Psychic the Golbat, get that out of here.
Yeah, thankfully no defense drop on Starmie, otherwise that Star would have died, but this forces a heal onto Starmie this turn. Thankfully, Cubone has already used Focus Energy, so you can see that Focus Energy coming in clutch with the double crit onto the Raticate. So all Cubone can do here is hit Boomerang, and we want that to KO the Raticate immediately. Hopefully, Weezing just protects this turn and just wastes this turn so we don't see any T-Bolt shenanigans.
Dark Pulse. But fortunately, getting rid of the Raticate over on Etiquette's screen. Actually getting the perfect turn 1. Actually, the actual literal perfect turn 1 where Cubone just focus energied. So this is very much a 3-turn possibility for Etiquette.
Yeah, as long as we don't see this Weezing use Protect, Cubone is just gonna smash that Boomerang right into Raticate's face. And there's no Protect from the Weezing. So even if Golbat comes out second, as long as one of these Boomerang hits crit...
Just hit. There you go.
Look at those damage rolls. Like, so now that Golbat is out, it has a chance of using Headbutt, but Headbutt at this range will assuredly KO the Raticate. So this is a guaranteed 3-turn for Etiquette.
What a fight for Etiquette.
I'm going to hold back on that guaranteed real quick, just making sure that this next attack connects.
Boomerang misses.
There we go. There's the 3-turn.
No Boomerang miss, and it actually gets the 3rd crit. That Cubone had his focus on, man.
Yeah. Imagine Trace being useful.
Who would have thunk it? But great fight from Etiquette, making up some precious seconds by getting a 3-turn fight, T-packeting. I believe that was a 5-turn. Two turns that Etiquette doesn't have to sit there. And as you saw from that fight, those turns go by very, very, very slowly.
Fine. The Switch 2 will fix everything.
Uh-huh. Will it make Scarlet and Violet runnable?
Don't make me depressed. Single story categories are all I have.
Yeah, and we're seeing T-Pat even saying in chat here, he lost about 40 seconds on that Archer fight, and can no longer, in his opinion, play safe. And I think that's right. I think that changes the strategy pretty considerably.
Yeah, we start to get a more measured or sort of idea on what pace is going to look like following Koga's gym, because that's like the last major point of variance in terms of just like things that can go awry with Protects, Toxics, what have you. Starmie getting paralyzed here is a little unfortunate. It's going to force the paralyzed heal onto Starmie here, which means that it's very likely that T-Pat will need to do an out-of-battle heal, possibly post-Persian, in order to survive a couple psychics from the upcoming Mr. Mime.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. Again, very unlikely. It's roughly 50-50 chance to get Starmie hit versus the Do Trio, and only a 10% chance to get paralyzed. So that 5% procced in T-Pat's case, bringing these two runners just ever so slightly closer together still. Etiquette now getting his wheezing. Etiquette's still got Penta to evolve. He's got coughing and Pidgeot.
Those will all evolve.
I thought the Pidgeot evolved already. I thought it evolved on the blue fight, so it might just be Etiquette not having marked that yet.
I think that might have been on T-Pat's side. Not entirely sure. Either way, with the way that the racers have caught their Pokemon, everything will evolve by Sabrina. The amount of experience that you get from all the trainers guarantees it.
Yeah.
So no worries there. Pidgeot is on T-Pat's side over there. Is going to get the Fake Out and spam Scald. 60-odd% or 60-odd HP here is 2-shot Psychic range from the Mr. Mime, I believe. So T-Pat will absolutely need to do an out-of-battle heal. I'm curious to see if he does the full menu minus Rare Candy and Fly beforehand, just to make sure that he accesses his X special attacks a lot faster than it is to figure out where they are in your bag after the full Saffron shop. Might be a little bit of just like a small optimization here, but at this point in the race, all optimizations matter. Every little bit of time save counts.
Agreed. We'll also be watching, mentioning Saffron Shop, we will be watching what these runners buy at Saffron Shop. In EV, you don't buy X Defend Computer like you do in Pikachu. So we'll be watching for runners to get X Defense. And that would be used in Giovanni's gym if you want to 1C that fight. You'll also be looking for X Special Defenses. Those are most useful in the Lance fight and in the Champion fight. So we'll be seeing kind of what these runners are thinking. If T-Pat's message in chat is any indication, he's going to be thinking about less conservative strats because he knows he's got to play a little bit more aggressively to hold off Etiquette. So that's actually what I expect from both runners, is thinking about those slightly riskier strats.
Yeah, I would say that where you can safely figure out how far, basically at E4, once you enter Victory Road, or exit Victory Road rather, I would say that if you are ahead by 30 seconds, you can pretty solidly lock in and clinch the victory. But at this stage in the game, you still have a whole 25 minutes to go, and there's so many things that can happen in between that you just don't know where you'll be at that point in the run. So like you mentioned before, likely seeing that we'll see that X defense, that X special defense buy on T-Pat's side, and Etiquette being a little bit behind in terms of plot progression is going to very likely do the same.
It was so interesting to speak with Headstrong, who is once again off to the finals after her race, and she was talking about she always 2Cs.
Yep, that is she is
those ladder fights.
2C strongest soldier.
Yeah, and she's timed that out, and it's only a 16-second difference between once you account for all the additional items you have to purchase for 1C. That only 16-second difference. So,
yeah, and that's assuming that Lapras lives on Champ. If it doesn't live, that 16-second difference goes down to a 6-second difference, if I recall correctly.
Correct. That's
So
right.
not even like all that much. Like if you're really going for top end, like 1C is always in the back of your mind. But for Headstrong, that's just like not even a thought in her mind, and I completely respect it from her.
Yeah, and guess what? She's in the finals. This is second straight year. There's a reason for that.
Exactly.
So T-Pat saying in chat, it looks like his tentacool has not evolved yet.
Yeah, it should evolve on the
It should evolve.
Slowbro,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I believe it's got the same experience curve as Grimer Muck, or roughly. It takes roughly the same amount of experience as Grimer Coughing does. He might have brought it into his party a little later. So I.
Oh, you know, that is something that I didn't think about, because T-Pat did have to do a little bit of party management.
He did bring in Tenta a little later because of that. Because he had to evolve Doduo into Dodrio.
Yeah, so it would have lost out on experience from the Muck and Electrode from Ted. I don't know if Jinx gets it there then, actually. We'll have to see on T-Pat's screen.
We will see. We will be keeping a very close eye on that. If not, T-Pat does have a potential backup. He's in Saffron. There's a backup Moonstone in the Copycat house. But that does take about 30 seconds to grab. So, again, in a race as close as this one, having to do that probably swings the race back in Etiquette's direction.
Etiquette is saying that it is fine. It's probably likening it to if you got Ammonite, for example. Ammonite will always evolve after Blaine, assuming it's in the party for all the fights afterward. So Tentacool being level 43 at that time, where Ammonite is level 45, most assuredly gets there in that case.
Yep. T-Pat with the standard Sabrina fight gets turn 1 light screen. In that case, you just kind of incrementally stall out the light screen, culminating in 2 X special attacks, X speed, and then you scald twice, and then that's 5 turns, so long light screen. And then you can just sweep from there. So standard fight from T-Pat. We're also seeing turn 1 light screen for Etiquette. So no turn 2 light screen shenanigans. No, you can have a situation where you can actually get no light screen, and that fight goes very, very fast.
Oh,
that is a
clutch burn, honestly.
Well,
losing a little bit time due to the status lag, but because Etiquette Star is so bad, it low rolled the first hit on Scald, and then the burn tick just helps push it over just that small amount.
I was gonna say, without that burn tick, Etiquette probably goes for a Hydro Pump there on turn 2, and of course that is not guaranteed to hit. So,
I think still would have been fine to hit Scald. Light Screen would have worn off on that specific turn, and then Stormy can get off 1 additional attack before Mr. Mime refreshes the Light Screen. It would just be like pros cons of hitting the pump and saving that turn versus being in a more precarious situation.
The Etiquette. Oh, that special attack hurts my eyes.
Yeah, that's not even on the tables for any ranges in Koga's gym whatsoever. I think T-Path is good enough to maybe scald the Venomoth. Probably hits like 127 or something like that. But we'll get a good idea of where they're at now that they're both completed with catches. They're both dumping their entire party. I will take a look at the fly exit time. 124 is probably like a 13-16 on the Venomoth. Still not great, but like you have that option just in case you need to spare some psychics. Looking at Fade to Black on T-Pat's screen is 14, and I expect Etiquette to be not too far behind that.
I was gonna say Etiquette's already got to be thinking 118. Goodness. Etiquette's already got to be thinking, where can I take risks? Even 1C Samuel, you need 122 to guarantee that Hydro Pump range. Etiquette's not gonna get there. So you're asking yourself, if you're Etiquette, where do I take my risks? Where is, things like 1C Naomi completely off the table. Like this is nowhere near good enough for that. And it's a question of T-Pat, I think, is listening in and knowing that I just said that Etiquette's star is very, very bad. Does T-Pat then adjust and say, maybe I can be a little bit more conservative? We're seeing these two actually aligned right now going into Caden. Etiquette is going to do late Teeth, which explains why we're seeing Etiquette just pull even momentarily.
Honestly,
so we're going to see two Cadens at once.
All right.
Good luck to us as we try to commentate these. So we X special attack.
I see minimize on T-Pat's side. And it looks like protect over on Etiquette's side. And is that a Moonblast miss? Oh no, T-Pat is getting... All right, T-Pat calling it here and just going to stomp repeatedly on the muck. The good thing about Stomp is that it does double damage to minimize targets and is always a guaranteed hit. So he's just going to keep clicking Stomp on Rapidash and then probably push an X attack into Rapidash.
Another minimize.
Yeah, at this point, minimize doesn't matter, but it sure sucks
when attacking.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Special attack drop on Starmie means that that's going to be another Psychic wasted unless you go for Scald Stomp. How is T-Pat's HP here? 76 is likely in kill range of Explosion. So it'll be interesting to see. Is going to go for the Psychic heal, I believe, then. And then hoping that no Protect goes out. If a Protect does come in on this turn, would have Scalded Stomped and be fine anyway. But this puts Etta, I believe, slightly ahead at this point. Does get the turn 1 Toxic from Wheezing, however, so going to have to take a turn to heal that off. But Etta is forced to...
Protect, that's good.
Yeah, Etta is forced to Psychic everything sans the Golbat in this gym. So we'll have to see how many Protects he does end up hitting, which... you got to be mindful of your Psychic usage here, because you absolutely need to save some for the upcoming fights. Only 6 remaining.
Yeah, that's a little low. We saw this with Randall in his semifinal, where he just simply ran out of Psychics and needed to take the center, where he was ahead in the race, but actually fell behind because they had to go take the center after the Rival 5 fight, which ended up deciding that race. So
right.
The psychic usage is extremely important here.
Yeah, chat mentioning that Etta is holding on to the Psychic usage. Probably a smart idea considering how low his special attack is and being cognizant of the fact that he'll need to Psychic everything in this gym. Is likely just going to Elixir on this upcoming fly menu. It's going to take a little bit
of... from
Oh,
Wheezing.
Wow. Did T-Pat heal before this fight? It looks like he did.
Yeah, he healed on Beedrill, so he did the Psychic Hyper Potion on the Beedrill.
Okay, this is interesting now. Even if, like, Koga's Pokemon still protects, but all rolls probably see kills on the Starmie, so we'll have to see how the AI operates here. Unfortunately, protect from the Golbat, but that is not something you see every day. A little consolation prize for having to pull out 2C for Caden. But we'll get a better idea.
Will need to heal, unfortunately. That's the one negative effect of Explosion. It does save you a turn, but he will need to heal before, at absolute minimum, Giovanni, but he will likely heal just before the gym starts. And yeah, so a little bit more time lost there for T-Pat than what we're currently showing. Etiquette has definitely pulled ahead now.
Right.
Again, it's not a huge amount, but this is exactly what we were talking about an hour or so ago.
Yeah, this is still
this
not
race
safe territory at all.
No, it's not safe for either one of them. This could go back and forth 2, 3, 4 more times even. So buckle up. There is nothing decided yet between these two. We're gonna get a little indicator. 2:31:57 on Fade to Black from Fly. I would expect T-Pat to be about 25-ish seconds behind that.
It's gonna pull out the
heal
heel.
here.
We're just watching the Fade to Black right now.
Yep. Just 29 seconds back. So again, it's close. Etiquette's special attack is straight out of a sewer. Like this could go either way.
You know what I'm thinking right now is that I believe Etiquette is going to Elixir. If he hasn't already, he's going to Elixir after Giovanni and play Giovanni as a 2C fight. In that way, you minimize risk on the fight, as well as you have to menu anyway after the fact to Elixir. So why not Elixir, have a safe fight, and revive and heal Rapidash and Star all at the same time? That's my prediction for what Etiquette is going to do. Samuel's Samuel, but at least for that, knowing that Etta is half a minute ahead, can probably afford like a single luxury here.
Yeah, I would assume. Because Etiquette's only got 118 special attack. Samuel is just, I mean, you have an 80% Hydro Pump to start with, right? Samuel at 118 it's a 13 and 16 range. So essentially, looking at about between it hitting and actually getting the range, that's more like a 65% proposition. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see 2C out of Etiquette here, just to make sure that's right. My question, though, is does he have the Elixir? Normally the runs will use the Elixir after Sabrina, and you use another one in Elite Four, but usually you don't have a third.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I did not pay too much attention to Etiquette's medicine menu after the fact. I know that he swapped Hypers to slot 1 as you do. Didn't pay too much attention to the Elixir. But like we'll see. We've got this fight to see if he 2Cs due to having very abysmal special attack. Looks like he's just going directly in.
He's gonna go for it. This is risky.
Yeah, with this is probably about a 15 and 16. I saw 118, I believe, coming out of Sabrina.
Yeah, it's a 13 and 16 range on this Nidoking.
All right, so we're gonna. It hits and it kills. All right, solidly ahead.
A huge hit and a huge range to hit for Etiquette.
And T-Pat, that forces T-Pat to absolutely follow suit step for step.
Okay.
T-Pat's is guaranteed as long as it lands.
A pretty free fight here for Etiquette, but very much not so for T-Pat. He's going to go for the Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump hits, and that's a KO on the Nidoking. That was a guaranteed KO for T-Pat, unlike it was for Etiquette. So,
I will say that T-Pat Star possibly even lives a Mega Horn due to the damage that I saw from Explosion. I think the Explosion did about 70, where it can do up to like high 80s, 90s, give or take. So probably still relatively safe, even if that Mega Horn did hit. Would have had to heal, obviously, out of battle. Is Etiquette going in with 1C? I did not pay attention.
Dynam Etiquette is 1C'ing the fight.
All right. Wants to hold on to that half-a-minute lead.
Sure does.
Nothing but gas here.
Probably aware that, things like Lorelei going to +6 is going to have to happen. Probably in his mind building in some time loss that's going to happen down the line, and knowing, hey, I've still got to keep pedal to the metal here. I can't afford to start getting risky. So
No, that makes perfect sense. As like Head Bob was doing in Hideout, so Etiquette is doing here to prepare for that is a heal.
He's got to heal that off.
Yep.
Gives the Dugtrio another turn to potentially crit.
But slash crit is fine here either way.
That ends up fine for Etiquette. Also seeing the 1C here from T-Pat. Etiquette will be able to get through the rest of the fight, so let's turn over to T-Pat. First turn, Earthquake. Goes for the slash. No crit, mercifully.
And is through the fight.
No crit on the Earthquake. Both runners will be through safely the Geofight, despite one seeing. I would say, if anything, this is going to get a little bit closer now, because Etiquette did take the extra turn to heal. So this is probably going to be on the order of about 15 to 20 second difference.
That is 122 special attack at 50, and that is something that you would have loved to see at 46.
Yeah, at 50 it gives you indigestion.
Goodness. And 131 for T-Pat. This star definitely has a chance of clearing Dragonite. Actually, probably almost secures it. 139, 140 is what you need to clear Dragonite there. And T-Pat out of the Geofight. Both runners do not need to heal for Rival 5. Both are not in Quick Attack range. I believe Quick Attack does maximum 27 at like lowest defense. So should be totally fine here.
Yeah, 18 second difference. So this is so
also, why do I know Maxwell Quick Attack by heart? I'm not even looking at the notes.
You play this game enough, and it just kind of you're just
the numbers. It's what do they mean?
For the number, yeah. Etiquette talking to the Rapidash. Just a little oopsie of the input, and probably another 4 or 5 seconds off the table for Etiquette.
Yeah, at this point, I honestly feel like Etiquette has been having a couple of issues with his primary Joy-Con, because there have been some movements that I've seen that are mildly questionable and not some that I would expect Etta to make. So we'll have to get his opinion after the race on that.
Agreed.
But no sand eating here for either of these runners. This Pidgeot has a speed of 127, so you're required to have 128 to outspeed it. If you are really fast, you could even outspeed the Raichu, I believe, at 140, I want to say, give or take.
That's correct. Yeah, you can outspeed the Raichu. Even at 140 speed, I just go ahead and X-speed turn 2. It's just good practice, in my opinion.
For sure.
Assuming you don't have that, you always want to X-speed turn 2. Because otherwise Raichu can't come out starting on turn 3, and if you haven't X-speeded, that thing has Thunder, and...
that thing has Thunder. Wait, huh? Oh, no.
Etiquette must not have gotten the second...
Oh, wait, is that the second
X-Spec?
I see.
Yeah, I think there was a mistake on Etiquette's side, and he did not use the second X special attack. And Etiquette's just going to call it right here. Wow,
that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately for Etiquette, yeah, there's just very little he could do at that point. There's just... Yeah.
Yeah, GG's to Etta. That was a very, very solid run up until that point. Yes, definitely well fought.
Yeah, and there was... the what would have ended up happening there was Etiquette was going to have to just lose the fight, and you would have ended up back at Celadon, and they would have had to fly back, and he would, I think this is, unfortunately for Etiquette, that's the only way forward.
Yeah, respectable, go out with honor. Sounds like from chat, Eda might have thrown in a second X speed into the mix by accident, which unfortunately, +2 psychic on the right shoe is not guaranteed.
Yeah, no. And at this moment, it bears repeating. Like, these runners are really, really, really good. But guess what? We're all human, and we make mistakes. And, Etiquette's one of the best. There's a reason he's one of the best. There's a reason he showed off this game at GDQ.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's unfortunate to see that happen, but just great performances really by all three of these runners. Unfortunately, seeing some bad luck both for Etiquette and for Head Bob. But yeah, I've said it many times throughout the course of this tournament. It's what we love about this game. It's got it's a different experience really every time you run it. It's not the same, wash, rinse, repeat, same thing for hours on end. It feels a lot like a randomizer in that sense, but that also means that there's some risks that show up, and we've seen a couple of them today.
Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, this will absolutely have 0% chance of happening, and it's very funny that Furious is asleep for this discussion. But in the off chance that TPAT does decide to DNF, the only other runner that has not that is like basically qualified to finish and join in to replace TPAT would be Furious. So it'd be very hilarious to see him have to like do one more race of Let's Go.
Yeah,
but TPAT is going to finish strong.
I was going to say, TPAT actually doesn't DNF in his Discord handle.
This is true. So I do not expect him to start now.
No, this is the football equivalent of you've caught a pass at the 30-yard line of the other team, and there's no one for 40 yards around you. So just don't trip over yourself. Don't accidentally step out of bounds, and just take this to what'll be TPAT's first final.
I'm glad that you understand sports ball analogies, because I do not follow sports ball myself.
Oh, sports?
Yeah. Yeah, sports.
Oh, I've got to be a football guy. I'm a Notre Dame alum a couple times over, so go Irish. So it's in the DNA at this point. So anyway, a little low on HP there, but just gonna be just fine here for TPAT.
Yeah, I will mention, as been noted in chat a couple times already, this race, there is a prize pool for the runners of the tournament. So if you like what you see and you would like to contribute to that prize pool, it is currently on the link that was just dropped on matchreno.com. I believe. How does this work here? It works if I click on the link. First off, so first place will get a 50% cut of the prize pool. Second place gets 30%, and then third place will get 10%. With the remaining 10%, I believe, somebody correct me in chat if I am wrong, to the top time of the tournament, which will be determined. Stay tuned.
I was gonna say, at this point, there was a sub 3, and that was from Saiyan in round 2. I also commentated that race. I swear I do other things besides commentate races. But yeah, that would be at this point. So to do that, you'd have to go sub 3. If you're going that fast, you're using some safety strats at this point. As T-Pat is very carefully, I emphasize very carefully, going
T-Pat, you've got 44 minutes to pass. You're good. Actually, accounting for E4 and the rest of Victory Road, more like 24 minutes, but anyway.
Yeah.
All to say, well, despite this being a one-horse race at the moment, Caroline can still put a damper and a road bump into things. The Jinx can freeze you with Ice Beam. Thankfully, you can hit Scald to thaw out, or it can put you to sleep with Lovely Death, which means that you have to heal on the following turn, and on top of that, you have to hit a Hydro Pump. That was the crit Ice Beam. That's great.
Not so sweet, Caroline, but he's through it.
Yeah, just looking at the defense here, that is actually like a decent amount of defense from the Starmie. This lives the Power Whip and Aqua Jet easy from the upcoming Lickitung.
Yeah, that's a beefy star.
Yeah, the other thing that we should mention is that so this category is called any % NMS. NMS stands for no mount skips, not no major skips, as you would assume. That is because every one of these trainers in Victory Road, and in fact, every trainer in the game can actually be skipped with correct movements and mounting Rapidash or Aerodactyl at the correct time, essentially, to bypass the trainer's vision. But the only ones that are relevant for this speedrun are these 4 trainers in Victory Road, because these are the 4 mandatory trainers that we need to pass while on a mount, essentially.
Yeah,
so,
and this is an NMS tournament because some of that requires some specific equipment, and it's a category, but it's probably not as accessible as this one is.
Right.
I would probably not be participating in the tournament if it were not an NMS skip.
Yeah, I do not wish to spend money to run a different category, but respect to those who do, or just get it naturally. Like, just simply skip the trainers without Joy-Con. It's that easy.
Yep. So here's the Lickitung. You just don't want to see any crits from Power Whip.
Yep, that should still live Aqua Jet. T-Pat is going to click Scald here. Scald is good enough to kill at 132 special attack and higher. Otherwise, you would have to click Psychic on the Lickitung, because Psychic has like 5 more base power than Scald, oddly enough. I'm pretty sure. Again, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Scald is what, 80 base power? And
like 90, 95, Psychic 85, 90. I don't remember.
Psychic, I believe, is 95 base power. But chat can laugh at us and then correct us. T-Pat is going to grab the full restore. That might just be, make 110% sure this is not going to be a problem.
I'll be honest. Obviously, like, the last couple of races that T-Pat has been in are way back when, but I don't know how familiar T-Pat is with 2 controller strats. I'm sure that he has them available and ready to go, but I don't really recall like how much he uses it. So it just might be a whole like save before Agatha, save before Lance, save before Champ, and that's super respectable as well.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, he's got more than enough time. I have a question. New here. What does 1C or 2C mean? Great question. So this game, you have the option to use one Joy-Con on fights, or because there are 2 Joy-Cons available to you through the Nintendo Switch, you can actually summon the second controller and play with a second trainer using another Pokemon in your party. In this case, for T-Pat, it would be a Rapidash. So that provides a little extra safety for T-Pat in case, of critical hits or things just not going quite the way he envisions during these fights. So here you're seeing an example of a 1C fight. You just have the Starmie out. We expect as the Elite Four goes on and gets into the Agatha, Lance, and Champion fights that he'll actually bring out the second controller and use 2 Pokemon at the same time, whether it's to set up or use attacks from 2 Pokemon. So hopefully that answers the question.
Right. Lorelei and Bruno are very, very straight. Right. Lorelei and Bruno are very, very straightforward fights. You can just set up on Starmie and go for both of them. Starmie on Lorelei will either go to +4 special attack or +6 and just spam Thunderbolts, hit a Scald, win the fight. Bruno, all you have to do is set up 1 X special attack and press go. And then Agatha is where it starts getting a little bit dicey because of status ailments and the fact that it has Scrunch, which is super effective against Starmie. That's when you'll start seeing people go for the safer strats, like bringing out a bird or a fish in your second controller to bait out the appropriate Pokemon order from Agatha, and you just set up and press attacks down the line. Same thing goes with Lance, same thing goes with Champ, for the most part.
Easily through Lorelei, and there's no theatrics there. I believe he set up to +6, so just taking a nice little victory lap, and just no need for risks, and he's not taking any. Poll as to whether T-Pat was going to go 1C or 2C. If I'm T-Pat, I'm just like, I'm going to wager a whole bunch of channel points on one of these. Okay, thanks.
Oh wait, it turned out to be a tie.
It did turn out to be a tie. So that just means T-Pat's got to do 1.5C strats, right?
Yeah. How? I'm not going to question it. Not even going to think about it. Speaking of things that you don't have to think about, this should be well out of feint range, especially. All right, like T-Pat's star is excessively bulky in terms of defense. So Hitmonlee, which is the last Pokemon that Bruno will bring out, has the move Feint. It's a priority move. It never goes for it, and it doesn't exist. But with the Starmie's bulk and HP, 20 very easily lives a Feint. Even probably lives a Feint critical even from
I was going to say,
Hitmonlee.
if we see Feint, I don't even think T-Pat would be mad. It's just like, wow, I saw Feint. Only a select few have ever even seen it. It's aimed about fairly regularly. 20 max roll Feint, according to T-Pat. He's thinking about it. It's been calced, but
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It is not ever on the table.
Yeah, so Bruno has been safely left in the dust. We've got 3 fights left. T-Pat is on the 10-yard line, beginning his victory celebration. His touchdown celebration.
All right, T-Pat wants to put on a show for us.
Okay.
He's gonna save. He's 100% gonna save.
Okay, he's gonna.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's doing this for the fans.
For the fans, he doesn't have to go this hard, but he's doing it for people.
Yeah. With 2 controller strats, there is essentially 0 risk on this fight and like sub 1% risk of dying on Lance and or Champ. But the 1C fight makes this interesting, and it honestly would have been foreshadowed by the fact that T-Pat picked up the full restore. So the way that this fight goes is that Arbok is most assuredly going to glare turn 1, and then depending on what happens on this turn is you're going to step in X speed, crunch hits, and ideally you would have seen Power of Love cause Starmie to break out of the paralysis by now, But this is also fine. This is like the normal standard version of the fight. Arbok is going to continuously crunch you, and then you just spam Psychic down the line, and you're fine. But T-Pat is clear through this fight.
Turnarounds, Dynam, that you mentioned earlier. This is where they start to kick in for Starmie, because you've now reached enough happiness with your star that every time it hits a super effective move or it gets a healing item in battle, it will just turn to you as though to say thank you, and waste 2 seconds of time each time.
Right. One very, very YOLO thing. I don't think T-Pat's going to do this. So Hydro Pump is a move. Is certainly a move. And depending on how high your special attack is, you can Hydro Pump. Because Hydro Pump is not super effective against any of these Pokemon, it saves on the turnaround time. So you save 2 seconds for every Hydro Pump that you hit. If anything, I believe like the 2 Gengar followed by the Weezing are like the candidates for Hydro Pump. Oddly enough, I think the Golbat has higher special defense than all of them.
It does.
But it's like that's something that you go for if like you're like click for click going into E4 with somebody else.
Right.
And you start throwing things into the mix.
We saw Randall do that kind of last resort strats, trying to chase down Headstrong in the first semifinal, and it was a Hydro Pump miss, and that was the end of Randall's run. So it's relatively high risk, and the reward is 2 seconds. So this is why you don't see it all that much unless you're truly, truly in desperate times. But once seeing Lance too, I think T-Pat mentioned, saving before these fights, just to be 100% sure. Essentially, what you not want to see here is a crit, which would go right through that X special defense that T-Pat just put up.
Now, one thing that we haven't mentioned is that crits go through all stat boosts, essentially. So any, like, T-Pat is currently at +2 special defense, but a crit would act as if T-Pat didn't set up anything at all, essentially. The Hyper Beam here on the last setup turn means that you are afforded a heal turn in battle instead of having to heal out of battle. But this is just a straight shot down the line, and we're going to see if T-Pat's start is good enough to guaranteed one-shot the Dragonite.
It's going to be right there. I think even then, the star is bulky enough to live whatever Dragonite will throw at it.
Yeah, we do get a friendship boost throughout the Elite Four, so that does help. And we will see after this Gyarados, if we see 140 on the special attack, it's a guaranteed kill. It is 138, which is a 14 and 16? Or a
it
15,
is
15?
Let's take a look.
Still a 15 and 16.
Yeah, 15 and 16 range, so hopefully we don't see any 1 and 16 shenanigans.
Yeah, but also
even
the star
then,
is very bulky, so even the crit.
And it gets the crit. It gets the
Doesn't
crit.
even matter. Guaranteed.
All is well.
Even if the Dragonite did click like Outrage or Hyper Beam, for example, like I think the star honestly still lifts it. It's so tanky.
Right. Just preparing to fight this mysterious champion who I wonder who it could possibly be.
Oh my gosh, it's the backside of...
That guy kind of looks familiar. I
it's...
can't stand for... Oh my god!
It's somebody who looks like Trace, but is actually one instead.
You mean that guy we've been handing it to this entire time? He beat the Elite Four and is the champion? We've beaten him 5 times already.
Yeah, but do we use Mega Evolution? I don't think so. So here's Trace. Here's Pidgeot. The setup for this for 1C looks pretty much exactly the same as Lance. You do your Expedef, your speed, and then for Eevee specifically, you only really have to set up 2 X special attacks due to the fact that Raichu has lower special defense than Jolteon. But we still have to eat a couple of air slashes and a quick attack more than likely before any of that occurs. This heal range for quick attack here.
That's heal time. Yep. Actually kind of nice when you get into that quick attack range. Just like, okay, he's going to quick attack. I'm not going to get crit by an air slash.
Exactly. This is the final setup turn, and that is the game. That's still a range, by the way. I was gonna say like, hello, psychic on. All right. This is now interesting. T-Pat needs to set up, or this is gonna switch.
You can withdraw the pitch
not.
Shot, by the way, which he does not.
Okay. All right. That
heart out of throat.
That's fine. Everything is fine. So at 138 psychic is a 15 and 16 on the pitch. Yes. Yeah. So 139 guarantees the +4 psychic. That was a 138 that T-Pat went for.
Yeah. So we got the 15 and 16 on the Dragonite. We haven't seen any other absurd ranges like that be missed, but we do see the. This is why even at 15 and 16, we speedrunners get a little nervous, because that means 1 in 16, you're going to see something like that. So fortunately, did not cost T-Pat other than a couple of turns. And
yeah, totally fine. In retrospect, T-Pat probably should have just clicked T-Bolt, because Champ has like 2 to 3 full restores, and like you mentioned, does have the opportunity to switch directly into a Raichu. Not as like pertinent in Eevee as it is in Pika, because T-Pat was already set up to +4. So not really in any real danger there, just caught a little bit off guard, and did make for a little more entertainment in this 1-horse race, that's for sure.
Yep. And T-Pat's going to finish with a nice low 304. Great time. I throw in a low 304 and I'm a happy boy. T-Pat's this has been running safe strats here for a good 20 to 30 minutes, and this is just another walk in the park for T-Pat. But great run, really great job from all 3 of our runners today. Unfortunate for Etiquette and Headbob. We hope Headbob feels better. He was a little under the weather going in. And that is now time for T-Pat. But great tournament from both of them. And T-Pat, we will be seeing in the finals for the first time. And speaking of seeing T-Pat, he has joined us here on the call. T-Pat, GG.
Welcome in, GG.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So it was a wild ride there for about 2 hours and 40-ish minutes. Coming to mind was for you, it was that J&J fight. Just walk us through kind of what went on just in the run generally, and how you made it through.
Yeah, well, I just made sure to not panic at any point in the run. In fact, like, up until that point, I was just like, oh, I'm just mad chilling. Pace is good. Catch count is good. The Eevee was pretty good. Like, I was just pretty much chilling. And then I got Poison Jab crit on the J&J 3, and I was like, all right, a little less good now. And it just ended up coming down to I got targeted one too many times, and I wasn't able to expel the poison. In fact, there was a sliver of a second where I was at 6 HP, about to take the poison tick, and I was like, I might live on 1. I thought it might do 5 damage, but I think it does exactly 6. And then it was just like, like, that's a bummer. I lose time, but I never panicked at that point. It was just, all right, just revive and slam some drill runs in. Then the Eevee comes back and you clean up the fight. And I just had to keep a level head the whole time because I was going into a pretty important Route 17 where the first 3 patches of grass, I didn't find a single catchable Pokemon. And it's like, okay, now I have to start worrying a little bit. But at least the catch route all worked out in the end.
Yeah, you didn't see any Pokemon there. And then you just like saw every Pokemon in the last patch of grass.
All at once.
Got everything. I caught the Ponyta and it was like, all right, we're going. If I didn't get Psyduck, I was gonna hand in the fossil, and bam, Psyduck right there. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Yeah. So the catch route ended up being just fine the whole time.
Oh yeah, you know, he stayed vigilant and pushed through. And you, T-Pat, you and I have actually talked about this throughout the tournament. Is just adversity happens. It's kind of the nature of this game, but just staying in the moment, staying present, being like, okay, I've seen this before. I know what I need to do. So you did a great job of that.
Yeah, and that is especially true for those later fights. I was already starting to count the seconds into Silphco, and I had about a 73, 75 second lead going into Archer. I did not going out of Archer. That was like cut in half. And at that point, I was like, okay, I lost some more time. That means I have to do the normal shop. Because if I got out of Archer cleanly, I was just going to straight go safe for the rest of the run. I was going to do the abbreviated Saffron shop, but that didn't allow me to do that. So I lost time there. Then Caden came around, and it was like, oh, got hit with Minimize. And my mantra there is I go for it once or twice. After missing the second time, it was like, I got to bail out. I have the extra X attack. I know that Stomp not only can't miss, but actually doubles in attack power against a minimized opponent. So that was another situation that I've seen before, but it's better than bashing your head against the wall, missing every move once Mux got 4 minimizes off. So it was like, this is how I deal with this. Okay, another 50 seconds down the drain. No big deal. And it was just trying to keep pace. And even then, I think it was 15, 18 seconds is all that I was behind going into the Rival 5 fight. And I was still like, okay, I can do this. Like, I've got my strats laid out ahead of me. And then I blinked and I turned around and the layout was in a one player layout, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted an actual good race."
Well, it was really enjoyable for those first, again, 2 hours, 45 minutes. Unfortunately, just a little bit of, just a human moment from etiquette, and believe it or not, we all are humans. So.
I think Etchi made the same mistake earlier in the tournament. Like on Rival 5, it was one of those where he was on like a 300 pace, and I blinked and I turned around and I was just like, why is he on 305 pace all of a sudden? Everyone's like Rival 5. And I'm like, what do you mean Rival 5?
Yeah, I will say thank you for playing it up for the fans through E4. Saw you pick up the full restore and it's like, huh, that's odd. But definitely, I think even with the misranged on Pidgeot after the air slash hit you, I think you were still completely in the clear. There's like, in retrospect, nothing bad would have happened because you're at +4 already, and EV only needs to go to +4.
Yeah, and the only reason why I posted I panicked because my brain had kind of shut off at that point. You click Psychic and it's like, okay, if the Pidgeot dies, the game is over. So like my brain shuts down, and then when you see 1 HP remaining and you're like, I need to not click the Psychic button again because I don't have enough Psychics. Well, what do I do? And that's what I was just like, should have just clicked the Thunderbolt button. Then once I was locked in Scald, I was like, oh yeah, it's fine, whatever. And obviously knowing that I was the only one running, I did want to, like, at that point, it's like, you got to play it for the fans. You still got to provide some entertainment value. That's why I actually asked if chat wanted to see 2C or 1C Elite Four. I picked up the full restore because I was going to see which way it went. And I was like, You
let the people
tied, so I wanted to do 1C, but obviously
tie
with
goes to the
saving at
runner.
each fight. Tie goes to the runner. Runner's choice.
Exactly.
And obviously for the finals, like, I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to go back to maybe not like a true PB attempts, but I'm not going to beat around the bush in terms of like keeping the fossil in hand and maybe considering doing safe strats. I think knowing the level of competition that I'm going to face, like, it's going to have to be pretty much foot to the floor for the last round.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have our final set. We're going to have Amber, Headstrong, and UT-Pat. So 2 runners who are finals veterans at this point. Both Amber and Headstrong having made the finals for the first time, for their second time, and UT-Pat, this is your first. You know, how does it feel to be in the finals, and 2, going up against these 2 runners?
Yeah. First of all, let's go women. Like I'm honored to be a part of this finals with Headstrong and Amber. I mean, talk about 2 of the most accomplished Let's Go runners. So to be in that same grouping is obviously an honor. I remember last year Amber and I had some of like the best races. I can remember back. We actually raced twice last year, where I got the best of Amber in one of the most jank runs of my life. It was a run where I was like, oh, I didn't get Rhyhorn, I lose. And then I caught back up, and then something else happened. And I was like, oh, I lose. And then I just ended up winning. And probably my best race of last year's tournament. But then Amber returned the favor in semifinals against me last year. So it'll be nice to have that rematch. And obviously Headstrong is just as good on any given day. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I really am.
We're psyched for what will be a thrilling conclusion to this tournament. T-Pat, always a pleasure watching you, talking to you, and we're looking forward to one more go from you here in this tournament. And as you said, it's going to be a great one. So
yeah, looking forward to it. The only thing I'm sad about is I can't commentate the finals. I have to race in it now.
You get to watch it back.
Ah. Good grief. I just hope whoever does commentate the finals keeps up the sandwich on Nugget Bridge, keeps some entertainment going during that section of the run. Well, I think this is a good spot to cut it. GG's to T-Pat, GG's to Etiquette, GG's to Headbob, and Headbob feel better. We will see you back once the final is scheduled. We'll make sure that gets communicated out to everybody. It's going to be must-see television. Can't wait to have it, and can't wait to see what these runners are going to be able to showcase. And yes, as Chad is saying, let's go women. You
Hell
gotta
yeah.
love it. So
also, if whoever is commentating the finals doesn't open with noting guy, gal, and non-binary pal in the finals, I will be sorely disappointed. Write that down for later.
Well, absolutely. So I'm going to sign off here. I'm Poketax.
And I am Dynam.
And we will catch you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, take care. See y'all for the finals.